Everybody, and happy New Year, happy 2025. I'd like to call the January 14th, 2025 Board of County Commissioner meeting to order. Before we begin, I would like to ask for a motion to add a proclamation in recognition and honor of Dr. MLK Jr. Day. Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Okay, I would like to invite Pastor Clem Bell to the podium, who will give this morning's invocation, and if we could all remain standing after that, and if Commissioner Flowers could lead us in the pledge.
Okay. Let us pray. Our Father which art in heaven, it's in the name of Jesus that we have summoned you at this meeting. You told us to cast our cares upon you because you care for us. We thank you for these commissioners that here represent Pinellas County. Thank you for the good job that they are doing. Continue to give them wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Give them insight where they can see things before they happen. That the old cliche would come to pass that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. You know everything, so share with them. And we pray for the residents of Pinellas County that they would express their opinion. And oftentimes it's not what we say, it's how we say it. Say everything will be done decent and in order. We look now for your guidance as we continue this meeting. For it's in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. These to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, individual, with liberty and justice for all. I can see now.
Okay. So Pastor Clem Bell is from Shiloh Bible Church in Dunedin to accept the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day proclamation on behalf of the citizens of Pinellas County. Pastor Bell has been with Shiloh Bible Church in Dunedin since 1993, and he was instrumental in the establishment of the city of Dunedin's first celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day in 2008. And has played a significant role in the city of Dunedin acknowledging and honoring the African American community and their many contributions to the city of Dunedin and Pinellas County. Now, Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. devoted his life to advancing equality, social justice, and opportunity for all, and challenged all Americans to participate in the never-ending work of building a more perfect and just union. His teachings continue to guide and inspire us in addressing the challenges within our communities, including educational opportunity, academic achievement, economic empowerment, and the elimination of poverty. The King Holiday and Service Act, enacted by Congress in 1994, designated the Dr. King Holiday as a national day of volunteer service, and millions of Americans have honored his life and legacy through serving their community and their neighbors. The county recognizes that the legacy of Dr. King lives on through the tremendous work of many community leaders, including folks like Pastor Bell himself. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners that January 20th, 2025 be recognized as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Thank you. I grew up in the 60s, and either in the 9th grade or 10th grade, we took civics. And in civics, you learn about the government, about how the government works. You learn about the Constitution, And we learned all of that. I learned all of that. But then I discovered that the Constitution and the government is organized real well. And the writing of the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and all the amendments, they are written real well to cover all peoples. But then at the same time, when I went downtown, I saw things like colored peoples only, white only, and I saw all of that. So even though the Constitution included everybody, it wasn't that way in reality. And all during my high school days, I didn't see no major changes. Until I heard about a man named Dr. Martin Luther King that had quit his job. He had a PhD in psychology and making big money and had a family and everything. But he quit his job and started campaigning for equal rights for everybody. He asked for 1,000 men to go with him to Washington, and he was going to address Washington. And at that particular outing, he asked for 1,000, but over 200,000 showed up. And he spoke of, I have a dream. And the dream went right along with the Constitution, equal rights for everybody. So it wasn't long after that he was assassinated. And that did close his mouth. He couldn't speak no more. But what they did not realize, whoever did it, or whoever behind it, that his work, his speak, his doing had ignited a fire in a lot of Americans, black and white. And so the dream is still going on, even though he's not there no more. And thank this commissioner for you dealing with things according to a citizen of this Pinellas County. There's no bias, there's no prejudice among you. So we are grateful. Progress is being made, and will continue to be made until one day we'll get it done. This is what he said, I may not get there with you, but you will get there. And then it may not happen completely during our time, but we are carrying the baton during our time so that when we are gone, no longer here, it will be record that what we did while we was here. And I thank this commission for doing such a good job. Thank you.
I'd like to invite my fellow commissioners up here for a photo. Okay, thank you, everybody. Now we're going to have staff presentation on recovery efforts.
Morning, Commissioners. So, as you know, Pinellas County remains under still a local state of emergency, larger because of the continuing response. And I'll have Kathy start making her way up, who will, kind of begin this. We're still at a level 3 activation. We continue to work on our recovery operations. We send out a biweekly report on progress. What we're going to do today is really kind of cover the 3 main areas, from emergency management to our permitting and development activities, and on our public works side on our debris management. As you know, that we've been advocating for hurricane relief funds, and we're very pleased that the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development awarded a little over $813 million in federal funding allocation for us. Like with any funding allocation, there's a lot of strings that are attached to that, and a plan needs to be developed. This will cover the 23 cities. There's a direct allocation to St. Pete, and we're in the progress of working on a program to be able to implement this and bring this to you. We will have on the agenda for January 28th a consulting team, a series of consultants that we bid out in anticipation of this funding. And so that selection and award will be recommended at that time. That'll be the first step in developing these programs. The funding will support long-term recovery. It's worth noting that this is the largest allocation of any local government in Florida for these storms. There was one two years ago with Lee County that was just over $1.1 billion, and this is proportionate to the damage that they saw. We also received word that we received HUD Rapid Unsheltered Survival Housing Awards of $512,000 that we're currently reviewing, and that'll make grants for individuals and families experience homelessness or at risk of homelessness and have unmet needs. So you can see that there's a variety of different funding sources that we have going. We're still continuing to bring all of those items together, and recovery still remains our top priority, with all of our critical staff work being directed towards those efforts. Permitting the substantial damage process, housing recovery time is obviously the most pressing issue. We hear you that this is taking too long. We hear you that the needs are not being met, and we're putting every effort we can into resolving those issues. Kevin's going to provide you an update on tidal basin communications with applicants and how we're working to rectify that. We're continuing to partner with our cities and share information. We even meet with them, and Kevin and Tom meet with them to talk about how we're doing things and learn from each other about how to improve operations as part of an ongoing effort. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Kathy to again but I do want to recognize there's a lot of issues, and our focus is on our residents, but I want to recognize our staff for all of their hard work. They're working nonstop, and there obviously can be more that we can do, but it's not because of a lack of effort on their behalf, and I want to thank them for all their work that they're doing to try to come together across all of our departments to help our residents during this recovery. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Kathy for her report.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Kathy Perkins, Director for Emergency Management. I do want to start out by thanking, as County Administrator did, the employees that worked on the County Information Center. That site remained open for 80 days. We had over 100 employees that helped work that through our different events, and they took over 46,000 calls and live chats, working to help our residents navigate before, during, and after the storm. So just tremendous thanks to all of those employees that helped support that. As you know, the FEMA individual assistance registration period ended on January 7th, but there still is a 30-day grace period. So I want to make sure that if people hadn't applied, that they know that they still can, but they may need to show additional documentation for why they were not able to meet that initial deadline. As of yesterday, we had 274,721 applications for the two hurricanes. The state continues to do their non-congregate shelter assistance. This is by placing people in local hotels, and they are also working to help with travel trailers, as is FEMA. The state program, the registration for that closed over the weekend, but people can always reach out and go to our disaster.pinellas.gov site for additional information on other programs that may be available. For the FEMA hotel program, which is known as TSA, the Transitional Shelter Assistance, when that program first opened, because of the impacts of the two storms that we had, FEMA did not require an eligibility check as to whether or not people needed that. As of this time, after the first 90 days pass, FEMA is actively calling applicants to update their status and determine what their needs are. So it is essential that anybody that has registered with FEMA and needs assistance, that they make sure that they maintain and update their contact information and any status changes that they have. FEMA did inform us that there are 959 households that will no longer be able to continue in the TSA program. So let me just tell you what some of FEMA's requirements are and why people may be discontinued. If there was a duplicate record, if they are receiving assistance via another registration. So sometimes maybe two different people in the household were in the registration and they've been able to go through and they're seeing that there's two registrations for that same household. If their home is safe to occupy, if they reported no damages, if their home insurance covers additional living expenses, if they missed an inspection appointment, that's really critical. I did see some news articles about this where people missed that appointment. Make sure that they follow back up with FEMA. If they are living other than a hotel, shelter, car, place of employment, house of worship, tent, damaged dwelling, or with family or friends. So again, making sure that people update what their current living situation is critical. If they refuse direct housing, which is the next step in processing to help people. If they obtain temporary or long-term housing. If they're not complying with the TSA terms and conditions. If they had not checked into TSA within 30 days. So there may be people that were staying with friends or family, they didn't go into the hotel, but maybe now they do need that. So again, making sure that people are updating their information with FEMA is really important. Or their application was voluntarily withdrawn. If anyone believes that they have received a notice in error, again, please reach out to FEMA. You can go to our Disaster Recovery Center, which will remain operational at the Enoch Davis Center in St. Petersburg through January 31st. And it's open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can also update it through their 1-800-621-3362 hotline or update the information online. And if you can't remember all those things, disaster.pinellas.gov is our website, and we have all of that information on our site for where the DRC is located, the phone number, and the website. So as of yesterday, FEMA had 3,463 households that are in the TSA program. And there's an additional 297 households in the state hotel program. We have over 100 hotels in Pinellas County that are assisting with housing displaced residents. So I just want to say thank you to all of those hotels that have reached out and made rooms available, especially properties like the Bilmar that have all of their available rooms assisting local residents. FEMA says that out of, there's 5,908 households in Pinellas that meet their direct housing criteria. And there's 1,085 of those that need FEMA temporary housing. So it's that group that they're really focusing on the next step, which is the direct housing phase. This is where they're trying to place people into rental units, and they're also looking at the placement for travel trailers and mobile homes. They have 368 applications for expedited RV travel trailer placement that have been approved. They're working to get those trailers in place. They have to assess the private property lots, and they're working also with commercial parks. They have an agreement with one commercial park right now that has 6 slots available. So they're working to try to find as many places as possible to place these. There are 52 state applications for travel trailers, 20 that are pending placement, and 9 that are eligible and been placed. And then we have 439 households that are pending placement in the direct lease program, and 6 have been placed. So we're continuing to meet with them on a weekly basis to have those discussions and look for ways that we can identify additional resources where people can be placed. FEMA has committed to allowing all applicants that have been approved for direct housing to remain in TSA until they're able to get into their direct housing unit. So we will continue to work with FEMA on that. And again, commissioners, as you're hearing about residents that be struggling or having problems, please do not hesitate to reach out to myself or my office, and we will communicate those concerns directly with FEMA. The Safe Home Inspection Program was initiated for the unincorporated areas, which will allow for minor repairs to facilitate residents to stay in their homes. So while some people are waiting to be able to do major repairs, if they can remain in their home, that may be the best option for them. Several cities have also launched similar programs for their residents, and they can visit the city website for more information. The state of Florida will be launching a mitigation program for elevations, buyouts, and repairs. And residents can sign up to receive more information, and they can go to, I'm just going to give you our website to keep it clean, right? disaster.pinellas.gov. We have the links on how to sign up for that state program. I was on a state call yesterday. They're currently onboarding a project management company, vendor, and they hope to have the registration portal open end of January, beginning of February. So residents will be able to start applying. The way that they're doing this program too, this is a direct application through the state. The benefit of the way that they're doing this program, normally these type of programs require somebody bring all of the money up front and they get reimbursed later. The state is going to be doing the major part of the funding, and the resident will only have to come up with whatever their percentage of the match is. So again, as we get more information on these programs, we will share that with folks. For our hurricane income eligible home repair program, we've received 575 applications as of yesterday. And this program can provide up to $30,000 for repairs not covered by insurance. 321 of those applications meet the criteria and are being processed. So there were some applicants that didn't meet the criteria, maybe because they were located outside of the area, because we exclude St. Pete, Clearwater, and Largo because they have their own programs. They exceeded the property value limit. They might live in a mobile home that's older than 1994, or they do not meet the homestead qualification. There are 255 applications that are missing information, mostly the FEMA letter approving or denying home repair. So again, continue to, if you've applied and you're missing that information, make sure that you are following up to provide that information. We did an estimate of how many homes fit that property value, and in the low to moderate income areas, we estimated there could be up to 7,700 households that could qualify. The Small Business Administration announced a 60-day grace period for its low-interest disaster loans for residents, businesses, and private nonprofits. And they will still accept the physical damage disaster loan applications through March 8th. Renters and homeowners can get up to $100,000 to replace or repair their property, or $500,000 for their businesses. So again, I want to encourage people, you can go to our website at disaster.pinellas.gov to get that information. And SBA has been very actively funding those loans since it got refunded right before the Christmas holiday. The deadline for the Small Business Administration economic injury loans for Helene is June 30th, and for Milton is July 11th. We will continue to keep our disaster.pinellas.gov site updated with local, state, and federal programs that are available, and have phone numbers and links on there to make it, again, a one-stop shop so people can find information. You can also text the word RECOVER to 888-777 for updates on these and other future assistance programs. I did that myself so I could keep up with what Communications is sending out, and it was very helpful getting those reminders for when deadlines are coming up. So what do we continue to work on? We still have our 5 recovery support functions that are meeting weekly through calls. And these groups are helping to identify projects that could be funded through the different funding streams that may be coming down. And that includes projects under the realms of housing, public services, real property improvements, public facilities, and economic development. We want to make sure that all of our programs are as holistic as possible as we move forward. And we'll continue to work with Communications to push out the most recent information. With that, I'll take any questions if you have them.
Questions? Commissioner Flowers?
I don't have a question, but just a comment. The notes that you have there, I was trying to write as you were talking, but I was missing. Can you provide some of those so that,
Absolutely. Yep.
Commissioners, I think we did email those out in advance of the meeting, so you should
I'm
have those.
sorry, I may have missed the email. I
Yeah,
apologize.
so-
I'll go back and look for it.
Okay.
But, thank you.
Commissioner Lavella?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Elevate Florida program, I know that the state says it's coming soon. Do we have any idea of when that will be?
The registration portion, from what they told us yesterday, they're hoping the end of the month. I would probably push that back maybe a little bit more into February. They're just onboarding the vendor for that now.
Okay, thank you.
And they are hoping to expedite. Normally, with these type of funding programs, it can take several years to be able to get the funding and for projects to start. So I know prioritizing this and pushing this through as quickly as possible is a priority for the state. So hopefully, once that gets going, we'll be able to start seeing projects move faster.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Commissioner Turner?
Chairman. Did I hear you say 271,000 claims? The beginning, that's how many claims, FEMA claims there are out there?
Between the two disasters, 274,721 applicants for individual assistance.
And do we know how many have been processed by FEMA yet, or is it?
They're all in some form of processing. Some people are still waiting on their housing inspections. So, I mean, we have the data. I can look and see if there's anybody that hasn't
So,
gotten any.
and every one of those is going to have a site meeting?
No.
Okay.
No.
When are site meetings required?
When they've reported damages to their home, that's when FEMA goes out. And I can get more information on that if you'd
Well,
like.
I wanted to just relay to you my experience with FEMA, because I met with them on Sunday on the beach, because my house flooded. But I was leasing the home, and I submitted an application too. But I forgot, even though I was leasing, I didn't ask for any property damage. It was just, moving expenses and things like that. They still required me to come out there to Indian Shores and meet with them on the property. I said, I can't even get you in. They told FEMA, the agent told me that was required. So I was just, in an effort to save time on some of these claims, maybe they don't have to call people and tell them you have to meet me on site. Just an idea. I know you speak with FEMA quite often. I mean, if I'm not there inspecting the property because I didn't ask for damages, why was I here? And I asked her, why am I here? Why did I meet you on a Sunday afternoon out here? Might be, if they drop that, what they're doing that, then maybe we can process claims faster. So
I'll follow up on that. Thank you.
I'll be happy to send you copies of the text messages I
Okay.
received.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? I got a question, Kathy. So in the beginning, you were talking about individual and families that were coming out of the TSA program, and one of the criteria you said is if they missed an inspection appointment. What inspection appointment would that be?
That's for FEMA to come out and look at damages to the home.
That's what Commissioner Scheer was talking about? Okay, right, okay. Yeah, that would probably be helpful if they could maybe modify that. So are all trailers going into travel parks?
No.
They're not, okay.
So if it's allowed by the local ordinance, and so the challenge we have is a lot of the flooding we had are in the special high hazard flood areas. Right now, they don't allow us to put the travel trailers in those areas. So I know the state was looking to see if they couldn't get a waiver on that. We don't have word back on that. But yeah, so they're trying to work with commercial parks and then site them on private properties where they can.
Okay, great. And so 320 of the applications for the Pinellas Repair Home Grant, 321 are meeting criteria. What's the timeframe on that for people to actually get money in their hands and be able to start those repairs?
Bruce, do you want to speak to that?
Good morning. Yeah, as Kathy mentioned, a lot of the applicants are still waiting for information on FEMA and/or insurance. But once they have that completed, the program offers both reimbursement or direct payment of construction costs. So in theory, somebody who's already completed the work, received their insurance information, received their FEMA allocation, and if there's a part of that that they either paid for, including insurance deductibles, then we can reimburse that. So we haven't seen one of those applications yet. Somebody that's fully completed that, but once they did and that was completed, they'd be approved and probably about a 2-week turnaround on issuing that check. Most of the projects, we anticipate that what will happen is maybe it's a $50,000 renovation project. They've got $20,000 from FEMA, $20,000 from insurance, need that additional $10,000, and so we would award them a grant letter and then pay the contractor directly as that construction project. So it'll be a kind of a wide time frame of when those reimbursements will occur.
So in a lot of cases, it's kind of that gap funding.
It's exactly, it is gap funding. The unique part about this is we would reimburse where we typically wouldn't reimburse for costs that have been expended.
Okay, thank you. Yep. Mr. Maggard?
Yeah, just to follow up on the trailers. So if they're in if the home is in a coastal high hazard area, you said that we're trying to get permission to allow the trailer to go there. So I may have been confusing this with something else, where I heard you say, or somebody say, that the trailers could go there, but if a storm was coming, they'd have to move them. Is that two different programs, or?
The RV type that can move, yeah. And I know, so some people have privately done that through their insurance or rented them themselves and had them on their
So
property.
those RVs are the ones that, what? The ones that, I'm just trying to make sure I'm clear. One's that, an RV type, and the other's going to be what? What's the?
It's more like a mobile home, so it's
More permanent.
more permanent, yeah. And those are very, like, that takes a lot of resources to be able to move.
Okay. Okay, so the RVs are fine to go in, but they may have to come out during,
It would depend on the local ordinance. Mhm.
thank you.
Anything else? Okay.
Next up is Jill.
Thank you, Kathy. Morning, Jill.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jill Silverboard, County Administration, with a very brief update on Public Works and Parks, specifically beginning with debris. Really happy to share that our final pass in all of our zones from the public right-of-way have been completed. They've been completed, they've been filmed, they've been documented for purposes of FEMA reimbursement. We do continue, we also served quite a few private properties that submitted the appropriate details, and we were able to collect in those communities as well for purposes of FEMA reimbursement. We do have 9 private property locations that are currently under FEMA review, including several mobile home parks, which are not public in any capacity, and difficult to traverse in terms of the collection equipment, but we do have 9 of those, several of which represent a unique challenge because they're corporately owned. So the residents themselves can't help us help them. And so that's been a unique challenge that we continue to work on directly with FEMA to ensure that we can help where we can. We've hauled over 714,000 cubic yards as of Monday, of all types of debris combined. And per DEM, who's been tracking our collections and totals, 3.4 million cubic yards of debris have been removed from all of Pinellas County. In terms of sand removal, we're continuing to work with our congressional delegation as well as the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers when we can on emergency projects or permitting of our final project for restoration. We're still continuing to follow up on the recent word amendments and how that may assist us. Otherwise, our sand mission is complete. Our next steps, as I shared, I think last update, is to plant the dunes in early this year. And I think that was all we had outstanding on the sand. We do still have significant issues in terms of parks. At the Madeira Beach access, there are some damages and cleanup that are pretty extensive at that location, so it does remain closed. We continue to reopen Fort DeSoto in phases. So as of last week, the fort, the Dog Beach, the Bay Pier were all reopened. Other areas that are open are the Causeway, the boat ramp, East Beach, and Area 3 of the campground. Camping areas 1 and 2 do still remain closed, and we, as I've mentioned previously, have some infrastructure challenges that'll going to take a little longer to get those repaired. All other county parks and preserves and boat ramps are open and operational. I'm happy to answer any questions.
So you mentioned Madeira Beach, but we have some other beach parking lots. So like Indian Rocks and some others, and I don't know that any of those are open. Do we have a timeline, like for Indian Rocks, Madeira Beach? Because, we're seeing tourists come now, which is refreshing that they're coming. It's wonderful. But public beach access is not readily available anywhere down Gulf Boulevard. So do we have a timeline? Do you think some of them can be opened by February 15th or at minimum March 1st?
Absolutely. We're working, for example, with the City of Indian Rocks Beach on our park in Indian Rocks Beach to get that one reopened, and we're expecting that to occur very soon. I don't have an exact date, Commissioner. I'll probably get you a better date, but within the time frame you've identified, absolutely.
But no, what you'll see is maybe a different opening. So you'll be able to access the beach. You won't be able to use the dune walkover, which
Right.
is not needed.
Right.
Because you don't have dunes, but they're damaged. And so those types of things have been boarded up until we can get, a plan to repair those, so.
Yeah, it's just that there's no place for anyone to park.
Yeah, we're
So if
cleaning
there-
those parking areas. We have to go back and sweep and, do so. Tiki Gardens, we finished that one.
Yeah.
So they're open again, and we should see, with the exception of Madeira Beach, which has a whole different set of issues, we should see all those beachfront parks and parking areas that we have a role in reopened. And as the administrator said, not necessarily the boardwalks or the dune walkovers. That's going to take a little longer, but the parks and the parking will be open.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Commissioner Eggers?
Yeah, just on the private property. So in general, we've gotten most of the areas cleaned up, debris removed. The private properties, you're talking mostly HOA areas that are having issues getting all of the, do you have to have a certain number of signatures, or if somebody signs off on it, you go to their house and get it and not the other house? Is that?
No, we required approval from the HOA, which worked great in most instances. And I think at one point we had 50 on the list, and we're down to 9.
9.
So, and those include some mobile home parks, which, as I said, and represent their own challenges.
But like on the mobile home parks, for instance, not only do we have to collect the signature on the authority from the private ownership, which is, the ownership of the mobile home park, we have to submit that to FEMA, and FEMA has to approve it.
Correct.
Prior to the collection.
Correct.
So if we don't get the approval from the owner, that means we can't go onto the property. Is that
Correct.
correct? Okay, so if we get that, I would say that, at some point, we're going to have to do it, whether FEMA approves it or not, right? I mean, we can't just leave it there. And if
Well-
these become non-reimbursable, it's a small number.
But remember, part of that approval is whether, because, we've had this, and it's really an insurance issue for private parks. They have insurance, and so the way FEMA looks at it is you have insurance should pay for your recovery and the debris removal on that. And so that's part of the reason FEMA reviews it, to see if there was sufficient coverage for that. And so, yes and no. Yes, if we can get FEMA approval, but if they received insurance, then why should we do that collection?
And the mobile home parks are unique, again, because they're not, even when we collected in HOAs or places with private roadways, they were essentially, the debris was in the private roadway. much easier. In the mobile home parks, our equipment isn't set up to navigate, that kind of constrained location. But as the administrator's saying, our biggest challenge has been the corporate-owned parks. They could have filed with their insurance and had these parks cleaned up, certainly already. But we do require that. We need their permission and we need their insurance documentation, which we've gotten in some instances and submitted to FEMA. But we'll wait for FEMA's guidance on those.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Wiki?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just to follow up on Vice Chair Eggers' comments, I mean, my office gets calls from Gateway Mobile Home Park every single day about this issue, and they've sent me all the paperwork that they sent the county, the sign-off on everything. I mean, where can I direct them? Just say, call FEMA for an update?
Their request has already been referred to FEMA by us on their behalf. So there isn't anything to do other than to call their ownership in California and suggest that they clean up the park. It's really not fair to the residents in this instance, but we're doing everything we can to get the correct permissions from FEMA to be able to help them out.
So not to call FEMA, call their ownership.
Yeah, I mean, they call FEMA, finding the right person. It's better for them to work with us, and they can contact either my office or Kelly Levy. We can certainly find the right people to speak to about these pending requests. They're not the only one. But again, it's a corporately owned park, and it would be great if the ownership had helped out their residents, because it is serious, and we understand that.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Sheriff?
Just a quick question. Is code enforcement, can this be a code enforcement issue where you could start finding the park if they don't do
Yes.
what you need?
Yes, we want to exhaust our ability to assist through the post-disaster approach first, but yes, that's correct, we could.
They start writing checks, they'll give you a call.
No, but it's a real issue because you get into these issues between park ownership and homeowners, and you want to help the homeowners at the same time. The park ownership, if they have FEMA, or if they have insurance, they're getting paid, and yet they don't want to spend the money. I mean, those are some of the issues. That's the reason FEMA has this process to review, and they require the insurance documentation as part of that review process. So there is a process in place to clean it up under the appropriate circumstances. And
With that attitude, they probably would pass along the expenses anyway to their
we have some
to their folks.
We have some definite examples where they had FEMA, they had insurance not in this situation, but early on, where they did get insurance reimbursement, and then they told the residents that if we don't come pick it up, they're going to add a $2,000 assessment on every single homeowner. I mean, it was ridiculous. It didn't even apply to the cost. It wasn't even. It was just kind of a threat to try to get public pressure from the residents onto us, and that's just bad ownership. So cleaning up those communication issues is really tough, but we're trying to work through that, focusing on residents first, but we got to hold the park owners accountable too. In answer to your question, Commissioner Peters, because Kelly said that Indian Rocks Beach, it did open, the park, but you have to enter using 17th and 18th for beach access. So the parking is open. That's what she just said.
I got a quick question, Jill. So as I drive around in unincorporated areas of the county, I see some households that have C&D debris still out front that appeared after we did that final C&D pass. So I'm assuming that they're on their own for that, but they probably don't know that they're on their own for that. So are we communicating that? How would we be communicating?
We are. And we've actually continued with our monitors and as I said, not only videotape, but we've been walking some of those neighborhoods. We're having conversations with people. And, if they have a way of demonstrating that it was storm-related, we're continuing to work with people, but we also can't, go on forever. So we're officially, from FEMA's perspective, we're finished with our final pass. But on a case-by-case basis, we're working with them.
And if you have questions, commissioners, if somebody feels that we've missed that or whatever, get that over to us. We do work with the property owners, and we have to sort that out. But, you know, we'll follow up on each individual property. But, you know, we do have spring cleaning going on and, you know, stuff that's unrelated to storm debris. So that's the type of stuff where we will and have opened up a code enforcement case, whether it's, you know, or whether it's storm related. And they do investigate, and they go out to each individual property.
Okay.
Thank you. I believe Kevin's next.
And Kevin McAndrew is going to come up and talk about substantial damage, and I think he sent this to you in advance, but there's a lot here, so I'll turn it over to Kevin.
Morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Kevin McAndrew, Director, Building and Development Review Services. Okay, where's my clicker? Okay, here we go. When the subject matter of substantial improvement, substantial damage is raised, the reference is almost exclusive to FEMA. An important clarification with regard to substantial improvement, substantial damage is that since 2010, both of these, both substantial improvement and substantial damage, have been part of the Florida Building Code. Every step that staff has taken to date with regard to the substantial damage assessment process, as well as the issuance of building permits, are in compliance and consistent with both the Florida Building Code and FEMA regulations. Another way of saying this is that building permits would not be able to be issued without compliance with substantial improvement, substantial damage considerations. And that has to do with our storm recovery period or any day of the year under blue sky operations. So I wanted to start by kind of calibrating this issue, since often, like I said, it's been limited to just FEMA. Our goal from the outset has been to be as adaptive as possible in supporting our residents. And this slide reflects the fact that we've been able to concurrently run two paths immediately following Milton. One with the flow of building permits, which to date now is over 1,900 building permits issued specific to storm repair, as well as working our way through the milestone steps of the FEMA estimator tool, which I'll discuss momentarily. And you can see the approximate timelines of the inspections that took place in October and November, the actual FEMA estimator tool, SD letters, and where we are primarily now. We still have a balance of letters, but we're primarily now in what is called the reassessment step. And I'll speak to each of these in greater detail. Importantly, I did want to share that as Barry had mentioned previously, there's been a high degree of coordination with other municipalities, sharing our processes. As far as this proactive approach, we adopted policies early on that allowed the flow of permits to less than 12 inches of water. We've extended our hours to accommodate permitting. We meet every week with our 7 interlocal communities. They're all on board. They've utilized these same processes, again, to also run concurrent paths as we go forward through the management of this. The scale of this recovery, the magnitude of the thousands of inspections, the thousands of substantial damage determinations warranted a methodology that could handle this type of volume. The FEMA estimator tool was designed specifically to be able to handle this type of magnitude. I will tell you that from day one in working with this tool, staff has faced significant challenges with the functionality of this program. And I want to, without hesitation, state that with a high level of confidence that with the extraordinary efforts of staff, from our assistant county administrator to BTS, to our third-party consultants working with Tidal Basin, we have instituted quality control at the front end of this data entry. We've automated QC on the back side of it. And unfortunately, this has resulted in delays in getting these letters out. But I want to emphasize that we made it clear from our team, we were not going to issue letters unless we had a high level of confidence that the output of this tool was both consistent and functioning as it was intended to. And that is taking place. It's the difficult part of this, like I said, is timing. We would have liked to have been through this well over a month ago. We still face these issues, but we're pushing forward to where we're close to the balance of this being completed, where our focus, like I mentioned, is now on the reassessment phase. I do want to clarify, I'm going to touch base on the next slide, that there has been some, I think, miscommunication out there, a lot of it actually, with regard to the state contractor, Tidal Basin, that is managing them. Tidal Basins and the team that is working on this does not make the determination. The determination, the initial determination of substantial damage goes out under the signature of our floodplain administrator and our building official. And that's something that's important to, again, to.
That's for the unincorporated area.
That's for the unincorporated area.
And each municipality makes that determination.
That is correct. Every community that participates in the National Flood Insurance Program is required to have their own floodplain management ordinance, and that floodplain manager or administrator is responsible for making those determinations. I want to highlight a few of the components. There's 4 specific components of the initial letter that goes out. The determination is included right in the header of the letter, as illustrated on this screen. The 4 solutions of compliance. This is for those residents that are accepting this initial determination and are looking to go forward with compliance. They're identified on the slide as far as elevating or repairing the home. In some cases, it might be converting a ground level to storage, parking, and access, and living on the second level, replacing the home with an elevated one, moving the home, relocating the home, or actually relocating and demolishing. The piece that I want to emphasize with these solutions is that we've tried to be proactive at every step, and our code enforcement division is making personal visits to every homeowner that receives a substantial damage letter of determination. And we are making every effort to have face-to-face contact. We're giving an educational kit that first starts with financial resources that can be made available. And also, if they feel, advocating that if they feel they're not substantially damaged, to pursue the reassessment, which is the second part of this letter, which I'll highlight momentarily.
So I have a question.
Yes, Commissioner.
Go back a slide. And so if the second half of the letter is where you're putting you can appeal it, because to me, the solution for compliance, you should have appeal maybe there, or do you have it someplace else? Because they should be, it doesn't, on the second half of the letter, if it says you can appeal it, then maybe I'm speaking too soon.
It does. It's the paragraph that highlights the reassessment option, which is a detailed SDA. I'll speak to that, is included in the letter. And it states if you do not believe that your home was substantially damaged, you may request a reassessment of this determination by submitting your request application And I'll speak in much greater detail to the resources on the front end, as well as through that process that we've instituted. I'm not up here to represent that we've had everything in place, as we're going through this process. The best I can represent is that on a daily basis, though, we are revisiting the adaptability that we can support our residents through each of these respective phases. The other piece of the letter is what's referenced there is the safe home inspections. And from the outset, we've tried to message that if your home is deemed substantially damaged, you don't have to move out. We don't want to displace any residents. We have the ability to perform what we're calling a safe home inspection, to go in, and if there are some minor repairs that need to be performed, we'll issue permits on the spot for items such as a water heater, to get a couple outlets re-energized to stay in that home. And this is all in issuing what we're calling a temporary residency. For those that do have a substantial damage determination, this is not an indefinite ability to stay in the home, but it is an ability to keep you in the home while there's an opportunity to formulate a plan to move forward, and that's under our safe home inspection. The reassessment option, again, which was questioned, this is a step that we have put in place ahead of a formal appeal of the floodplain administrator's determination that would go through the clerk of the court process. This is more of an administrative process that, again, I'm going to take you through on the next few slides.
Kevin, if you hold on one second. Commissioner LaValle, do you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One of the complaints that we've heard, and it's come up before, was that this substantial damage assessment determination was made without an inspector going inside the house. And so they just made it from outside. Sometimes curtains and blinds were closed and whatnot. During the reassessment, do we know how many determinations were changed?
So I can touch upon that. To date, we have 130 plus or minus reassessments for unincorporated county in our portal. 10 of those have been reversed. None to date have actually remained substantially damaged. The balance of that 130, 120 or so are in different stages of review. And I'm going to touch upon that because right up front, while we're now being much more proactive in assisting, whether it's a licensed contractor or a homeowner, in making these applications, the initial batch of these reassessments, we found the majority of them being rejected because of incomplete information, deficiencies in different elements of that application. And we're trying to head that off on the front end by having resources in place through our on-call support telephone subject matter experts, as well as in person. I've advocated before about how important it is to have face-to-face contact with contractors and residents, and we have our permit support hub across the street. Not only are we issuing permits on the spot, we also now have a process in place to help anyone complete the application for the reassessment, get it uploaded, and then it's pushed to the state team for that review.
This question may be more for Barry. We've talked a little bit previously about other counties down south, like Lee County, I think maybe even Bay County, after their hurricanes were audited by FEMA. And some of the steps that they took, they got in trouble after the fact. Is anything that we're doing here present an issue with FEMA after the fact?
No, I think we're following not just the FEMA guidelines, but also the building code guidelines. And so some of the things that you saw in Lee County, they're trying to unwind 2 years after the fact. And that's made it more difficult, I think, for their residents to have to revisit this. So while while there's a lot of frustration because of timeline, and I think to, the credit of Kevin and Tom and the team is, that quality assurance. We've seen in other places where, you have incorrect letters and stuff like that. Well, that drags it out, but you want to make sure it's right the first time. So the same thing, we learned from what happened in Lee County. In fact, Linda Cheney, Representative Cheney, hosted a conference call several months ago with representatives of Lee County, and we all got on and we listened to their experience. Actually, it was one of the municipalities down in Lee County, and so we've tried to learn from that. We actually have another, I guess, call with Lee County coming up here, where we're trying to learn from. This is not the first hurricane that's hit since 2010 when the Florida Building Code was changed all across Florida. All these delays occurred there, and that doesn't make it right, and it doesn't make it easy. But we've tried to streamline the process, learn from others, and try to help our residents in the recovery efforts. But it does take time, and there is delays.
The FEMA estimator tool, which the first step is the inspection, that is recognized by FEMA as the proactive approach which Barry was alluding to, which is a key piece of what has kept municipalities out of potential probationary concerns from FEMA. Because even without getting inside, and it's a very valid issue, there's no question the inspections would be better if there was access inside. But even outside, the two most critical pieces of data are secured for every inspection. That is the high water line, and that is the height of the finished floor, which determines then the depth of water inundation in a structure. And it is that particular piece of data that is effectively run through the tool, that if you have 6 inches, 12 inches, 18 inches, 36 inches, that then computes the percent damages associated with the various elements of a house. It's not a perfect tool by any means.
And that's also how FEMA has audited. So they've come back into Lee County and they said, in this neighborhood, there's 500 houses, and we know that the flood inundation maps have water levels going to X, and therefore those structures and they apply those in a macro standpoint. And that's how they audited Lee County to come back in and say, you had 500 homes, you only have 400 permits, what happened to the other 100? And they're going structure by structure. That's a type of audit process that they're doing 2 years after the fact. So if we can turn around, issue building permits, guess what? They're gonna then make us enforce those things after the fact. And it also, to do a structure by structure, would have further delayed that process and just that coordination for going inside homes and things like that. So this reassessment process is critical, because if you go through that and you provide the documentation that Kevin's talking about, that takes you out of it. If in fact we determine then that you were not substantially damaged. And so it's a much quicker process to get through that way, but it's not without problems. I mean, there's 54 fields that he's talking about under that FEMA estimator tool. Just the bureaucracy of trying to load 54 fields is in and of itself a drag and a bottleneck in that system. And then the other day, the system went down. And so in turn, and this isn't to tell you all the problems, but that's what they're dealing with, and that's the piece that we don't have a magic way of just, making all this, I mean, somebody has to input that data. Somebody has to go through that process. When a system crashed, we have BTS helping us and have to go back to FEMA. So it's not without problems, but we're working, and I think Kevin and his team have done everything they can to try to speed up that process as best they can.
Another way of characterizing this too is that, let's just use the number that's approximate of 5,000 structures. Well, 80% of those to date, plus or minus, are not deemed substantially damaged. That immediately clears the permit path. And the 20% plus or minus that get the initial letter have the ability to pursue the reassessment. And that's really how this has been managed. So that we could have never have managed 5,000 going through this much more granular, detailed substantial damage assessment. So it was clearing the vast majority to permit and now focused on the remainder of those that are pursuing the reassessments. There are some that actually have wanted their substantial damage determination letter to pursue ICC and have every intent of coming into compliance. So we've seen, that is the minority, but we've seen both sides of the equation. So getting back to the reassessment process, again, which is now our highest priority, there are required documents, which are illustrated up on this slide, and then there are optional documents. And we saw that, as I mentioned, the initial batch of these, while they may have been complete, they were kind of going through this circular review, not enough information, you didn't give us the right scope of work. So we've put resources in place on the front side of this to help with the completion of these applications, as well as what was raised in Barry's opening remarks is, what about a direct communication line with the subject matter experts, whether it be the cost estimator, the state certified property appraiser, or the CFM that's performing these reviews under tidal basins management. We've put a process in place as of over the weekend where a contractor, a resident can communicate to BDRS by either phone or by email, sddeterminations@pinellas.gov. We will in turn we have somebody dedicated to this, and more than one person dedicated to this. We will immediately get that contact to the subject matter expert at Tidal Basin, and they will proactively reach out to the resident or the contractor on these applications. We needed to break that, that communication challenge. And we're confident that we have a process in place. We've equipped the state contractors with what's called soft phones, and so they're on board. And this will be a much more efficient and proactive approach to these reassessment
We
applications.
need to work with the municipalities to make sure they have similar processes within their municipalities. And this is to the comments Commissioner Peters had in her own experience. And I did talk to Kevin Guthrie, the State Emergency Management Director, of which Tidal Basin works for, but it's not Tidal Basin, because they're not making the final determination. They're a piece of that determination. So the link that Kevin just talked about, we just need to work with our municipalities. They need to have similar processes in place within each jurisdiction.
Kevin, I think we have a couple more questions here.
Thank
So
you.
Commissioner
Thank you,
Eggers,
thank
then
you, thank
Commissioner
you.
Flowers.
So I just for clarity, because we're still getting some calls where folks didn't get a letter, and their neighbors have gotten letters. So I'm assuming that's just probably an oversight, but who is actually supposed to be getting these letters? What's the field of people of which 20% more or less are substantially damaged?
So first, let me clarify those. And there are unfortunately a number of I don't want to call them anomalies, but outliers, like you're mentioning, whether it be in North County, Mid County, or South County, where you'll look at our lookup map and you'll see all of the homes have received an initial determination, and then there's a home or property that didn't get a letter. We are scrubbing, and this has been one of the challenges with the FEMA estimator tool, where we were not going to send out a letter. There was bad data export associated with these structures that have not yet received a letter. So we are scrubbing every single grid of the county to re-enter these particular structures that have not received a letter, and it's our highest priority to get through these so that letters can be issued. And I think, as I had advocated last time, explained last time, you don't have to wait for a letter now, because the letter has resulted in another, in some cases, 3 or 4 or 5 days delay. As soon as that accurate export is completed, the determination will appear online in the lookup map.
So they're calling us then, so we'll direct them to your office to just circle back and make sure that it was not an oversight, but rather they're still going through some data.
That is correct. It can be, you can call that, again, to option 5, which is on our one-call number, 464-43, listen to me, not even giving the right number.
3888.
3888. Thank you. And, or send it to SD determinations at pinellas.gov. But we have staff that will get that information and prioritize that being completed.
So there are a lot of folks that got letters that they said you were not substantially damaged and you can move on? Or is it just the folks that were deemed substantially damaged by the high water line, that kind of thing? Did everybody get letters and some said you're not and the rest said you were?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Everybody gets a letter,
Okay.
whether you are or are not substantially damaged.
But clearly states that you're not substantially damaged.
Correct.
Or you are, and here's your option.
That's right. If I went back to that example letter, the header would say your property is not, your structure is not substantially damaged.
Okay. And it's those, like you said, 22% of the folks that are substantially damaged where all of this really is going towards. The other folks, if they had some damage, they can move forward with their permitting process.
Correct. They're green lighted for permitting.
All right. Thank you.
The, one of the optional,
Hold on 1 second, if you could.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Kevin, I believe what you said, or someone said to us, is the individuals who may have received a substantial damage letter could pay for someone to come out to reassess their property, to have it done much quicker? Or do they have to wait on someone from our departments to come out and reassess?
no, that's been unfortunately miscommunicated. For those that, and I think it might speak to actually this current slide, for those that receive the initial substantial damage determination, there is the ability to file a reassessment. There is no fee, no charge associated with that. One of the optional documents that a property owner can file is a private actual cash value appraisal. In many cases, it's not necessary. The property appraiser's website includes what's called a FEMA WLM letter, and it provides for the just value, dollar value of the structure. And in many cases, this is sufficient to demonstrate as part of the detailed SDA that the cost to repair is below that value reflected on the property appraiser's letter. For those that feel that they need a higher value associated with the structure, they have the option to pay for and hire a state-certified appraiser to prepare this actual cash value appraisal. And we had some challenges right out of the box. This is not the typical form of appraisal that is prepared. And so we've had tremendous support from the property appraiser's office in stepping in to help work with the appraisal reviewer from the state team to interface with the private community appraisers that are handling these. And Mike Twitty is here, and I want to actually ask if he can come up and just expand upon the importance of this type of appraisal and how his office has stepped in and provided the support that we've needed.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Yes, we've been involved in the process, and at various stages, so to speak. We helped initially get involved when they were first setting up the SD estimator tool, so that we could validate some of the damage percentages, look at some of those results, help to calibrate it, and make sure that those results looked reasonable based on various water depths, because a lot of the the initial baseline damage percentages that came from other governmental agencies like Army Corps of Engineers and things like that were very punitive, and we were looking at those, and they didn't make sense to Florida buildings and our habitat here and what we were dealing with our storm events. So we were able to recalibrate some of those damage assessment numbers that really helped our preservation of homes within the county. So where we've been involved, and I want to make sure we're clear, so we are not reviewing the ACV appraisals that come in. We're a different lane. You know, we're doing a different valuation methodology. Obviously, our charge as constitutional offices, property appraiser, is to arrive at the assessed values, you know, the just values and ultimately the assessed values for all the parcels in Pinellas County. And then we allocate those numbers as kind of a courtesy thing that FEMA swept us up into to have to put a structure value on these. Whereas if you're doing an outside actual cash value appraisal, it's more of an insurance methodology. They ignore land, they ignore extra features, they go right at the structure. So they're focused in, it's a cost approach, replacement cost of the structure, and then you're depreciating it for wear and tear. So a little different way to arrive at a structure value than what we're doing. So our number is generally going to come in lower than an ACV in most cases, not every case, but in most, particularly on homes. And so we've been involved in that process. We've had to referee a couple of times because some of the appraisal review checklists were a bit stringent, and some of the reviewers were interpreting those very, very strictly, and it was resulting in some of the third-party private appraisals not being approved. And it sounds like they've really worked hard on trying to aid in the communication piece, because that was what I was hearing from the appraisers in the marketplace and from property owners was, hey, I did this appraisal, you know, they failed it, and I just want to figure out how to correct it for my client. And, you know, where did I go wrong? What do I need to do? I took the ACV training through the Appraisal Institute, and I don't understand where the wheels came off. And there wasn't enough information provided back to them to allow them to make those corrective actions. My understanding is that has been expanded within the portal, those explanations of what that appraiser's next steps need to be. You know, where was the issue within their report that needs to be corrected, and now they have a communication mechanism to get back to where the private appraisers can actually speak with those review appraisers that are being contracted through the state, which I think is very important. I spent many years in the private sector, many conversations with review appraisers, and there's nothing like getting those two on the phone together as opposed to a whole bunch of emails back and forth. People's blood pressure goes up. You know, there's a lot of trash can kicking that happens, and things don't get resolved quickly. So it's really important for those two parties to talk through it. A lot of times there's a way, there have been debates over replacement costs versus reproduction costs. There have been debates over how to, depreciation methodology, actual age life versus economic age life. You can still employ those slightly different methodologies, and as long as the delta isn't too big between them, it's still not that it's not a realistic methodology to use. So that has to be well-founded, well-supported, and that's where they need to have those communications.
Thank you. And then my other question is for the, this will probably be more for him, for the individuals that are doing the initial inspections, are those the same ones that are going out from us that are doing the reassessments? The reason I'm asking that is because if that's the case, and I know that, like all other government entities, resources for persons with the qualifications is limited, so we don't have 50 million inspectors that can go out. I mean, I wish we did, and we could move through this faster. But if we're using those same ones, it's kind of slowing us up based on the numbers that you've provided with us for those who requested reassessments.
So the reassessment will largely not require an inspection. This was one of the benefits of having performed the inspections associated with the FEMA estimator tool entry. Those inspections were documented, photographs were taken on the exterior of the homes for the high water line. There was access interior, they included that. What also negates the need of performing inspections at the reassessment is we listed as optional pre-storm and post-storm photographs. And we listed as optional only because not everybody has photographs. But we strongly encourage, this is the language that's on our website, when someone's completing an application, we strongly encourage that they include photos. I believe that every single application that we've gotten is including photos, and that negates the need for a second inspection.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Eggers?
Yeah, just following up on a couple of things real quickly. We're moving into the 50% thing just a little bit here. So we're talking about replacement value of the home. And then you said, Mike, less depreciation costs. So if they go out and make an assessment and they determine the replacement value, what's the purpose of depreciation, which obviously goes and it affects the owner significantly on this 50% determination? What are you depreciating if you've got the replacement value at that point in time?
Yeah, well, FEMA and Florida Building Code require that you arrive at the depreciated value of the structure. So you have to apply depreciation because they're trying to get to what's the market value of that structure as it sits there today. It's not brand new. So when you do replacement cost,
Gotcha.
that's replacement cost new. And then you have to, so that's your starting point, and then you have to depreciate it down to get to today's number.
Okay, so what kind of percentages are we seeing out there? I mean,
Well, it all depends on, how old the structure is, how well it's been maintained. So, it can vary greatly. We've got structures that are over 100 years old. Not a lot of them, but we have some. And then you obviously have brand new construction. So it's a sliding scale based on, you start with the actual age of the property, but then that number, if you're going to start to get into effective age, that number can move up or down depending on how well maintained. You have short-lived components and you have long-lived components. Your roof doesn't last as long as your walls.
that's kind of where I was going too, and that sometimes folks in the last 6 months, year, 2 years, 3 years, have replaced all kinds of things, windows, roofs.
Absolutely.
So values in those cases, that's where.
Right. And that's where it can be really important for people to get that ACV appraisal from the private sector. For example, we had people that were impacted last year from Idalia. Okay, so when they crossed January 1 on 2024, their walls were open because they had cut it out and they were drying out. Well, so we revalued in the property appraiser's office based on the condition of that snapshot on January 1. Well, those improvements were worth less at that point. So their FEMA letter that came out of our office for 2024 was very low. But then they rebuilt prior to the storm. So now, right before the storm, the home was completely, up to code, rebuilt, shiny and almost new, and then they got hit again. Well, that's a great example of where that outside appraisal helps them because they're able to do it as of the day before the storm. And that also dovetails in with our new process that we did start, which is our building value reconsideration that we offer to people. So if they run into those types of situation, they can get a free relook through our office and submit, and we will reevaluate those improvements and do that as of the date prior to the storm.
And what we're doing, we're addressing that denominator piece of the equation. Right?
Correct.
So back on the numerator side, have we taken care of all the look-back stuff so that we're not penalizing folks for, putting a new roof on in the last year? How are we addressing that piece? To me, those are all structurally improvements, they shouldn't be counting against folks on the numerator side, but just maybe.
The look back has no relevance to substantial damage determination. The look back is relative to substantial improvement. And,
Right.
and I think it's an important update that the floodplain ordinance was just updated. This board approved that update, which provides for an exception when repairs are exclusive to damages caused by a storm, that it does not require the look back to be included. In fact, I just got an update this morning that this provision was also just approved by PCCLB as a local technical amendment to the Florida Building Code. So we're just about there where this particular update will have some benefit to those that are still going through this exercise.
Thank you both. I appreciate it.
The other hit that homeowners will take, I have Citizens Insurance, was forced to go there when some of the companies left. My policy had already been renewed. I was not in the flood zone, had no water damage, anything to my home. I received a notice from Citizens yesterday saying that they want to reassess my policy, and that if they don't have, I want to read it correctly, because I don't want to lie on them. It says, policyholder assessment. Citizen policyholders can be required to pay an assessment on their policy premium if Citizens does not have the resources to pay claims. So on top of all that our residents are going through, and for those of us that have already renewed our insurance, now Citizens is saying they will place an assessment on top of what we're already paying for our insurance policy, because they may not have enough money to pay claims. They could. They will. I mean, I know you say they could, but, you know, they will. Because they're denying some policies from the Fort Lauderdale, Lee County area. So anyway, just sharing that our residents are getting it from like every single side. I don't know if that's something that maybe we want to address as a body with our delegation, our legislative delegation, since Citizens is, you know, under the state policy. But just sharing it on top of everything else that people are getting, now you have this, you know.
Just looming.
Yeah.
Right, and that's a touchy.
And that's not you guys.
Right,
just-
right,
Yeah.
right. Yes, please, no.
That's not you guys.
I wanted to, I think there was a little gap in jumping back to the SD letters and who was getting them and who was not, and I just want to get clarity with Kevin, because I thought my understanding was the universe of the letters was determined by initial damage assessment. And that kind of defined that universe, because the way the conversation was going, it sounded like everybody within special flood hazard area was going to get a letter one way or another. And I know that's not correct.
That's not correct. And
Right.
Yeah, and so to clarify, yeah, absolutely, not every property owner in a flood hazard area receives a letter. As Mike alluded to, the first step of post-disaster recovery is what's called a preliminary damage assessment. This is performed to start the flow of funding to get a presidential declaration. It also has the benefit of a very important step, which is our inspectors performing what we call windshield surveys of all of the properties in a flood hazard area and identifying those properties that would qualify as having major damage. That particular exercise, coupled with our technology of being able to map levels of storm inundation, flagged the 5,000 plus properties that would be subject to the substantial damage assessment process. And that's what set the table to then for those properties that we've moved forward with.
So if they didn't get a letter, they may not have gotten a letter, or it may be under review. A particular property that didn't get us a letter, because some folks are still waiting, they're saying for their letter.
So
And-
that is correct, but we would immediately be able to communicate with that resident that their assessment is still under review and that they will be getting a letter. Because early on, there was questions being asked, will I be getting a letter? And the answer was, no, you were not one of these properties initially identified that would be subject to the substantial damage determination. So, again, this is how it's, it's been first calibrated and then moved forward from that point.
So a lot of folks could be calling you on that letter necessarily, and you're not in an area that would, I mean, I don't know how.
There was some of that early on. That's really not the case of recent.
So now it's just probably relegated to those folks, few folks that maybe didn't get a letter.
Correct.
And their neighbors all, around them got.
That's exactly right.
All right. Thank you, Mike, on that comment.
I have one as well.
I wonder if I could take a second just to point out, because we have an important deadline coming up for our property owners. On March 1, that is the deadline for people to file for the partial property tax refund. So I want to encourage them to come to our website and start that process. Then we collect that information, approve that application, and then it's on to the tax collector's office to issue the refunds. But that March 1 for this is a hard deadline because of the processes involved with the collector and the jurisdictions, because it's really a refund of 2024 property taxes. So I wanted to make sure people were aware of that and to do that process. It is not a long form fill process on our website, and we built a custom web form for that so they can go through it rather quickly.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Commissioner Scherer?
Thank you, Chair. I'm a little surprised about this depreciation. Depreciation is typically a generally accounting rule, and it allows corporations to adjust their gross income based on the amount of depreciation, but homeowners don't have that right, so I'm a little confused about that. You don't get to adjust your income based on your house depreciation. Are we sure that the building code requires
this isn't the same as depreciation for IRS purposes, and you have, I don't remember, the 37 years, and you have all those different rules.
Straight line depreciation?
Right.
What is this based? Is it based on an accounting principle?
It's based on appraisal theory.
Just appraisal theory?
Right. I mean, as you build a building, and if you let it sit there, even well maintained over time, it's going to slowly deteriorate. It's not going to last forever. It's going to slowly, at some point, whether it's via functional issues, it's not the highest and best use anymore, it's going to get torn down, land values rise, all those things contribute ultimately to depreciation on a property.
So it's each property, you have to judge each property's depreciation, or is there a schedule somewhere that's?
Well, there's a schedule you use as a baseline, and you can use Marshall Valuation Service, has a depreciation schedule, shows, different economic lives for different structure types. Generally, a masonry structure will have a longer life than a frame one, things like that. And then you can run it either straight line or usually a depreciation curve, because what typically happens is over time, your property depreciation is increasing, but then you make short replacement and repair of short-lived items, and then that recalibrates down some. But, generally, you're depreciating, if you took that straight line like so, over time, it would look kind of like a saw blade, over time as you replace different components.
Okay, and this is probably for Kevin. Are we sure the building code requires depreciation on the valuation? Or is it a FEMA rule, or is it both the building code and a FEMA rule? I want to make sure we're.
Yeah, it's very clear in all the FEMA guidelines that they're looking at what the market value of that structure is. They're not looking at what replacement cost new is, because what they're trying to do is encourage people to get up out of harm's way. Those are at-grade properties, so you wouldn't be using replacement costs with no depreciation as a barometer for that.
No, I appreciate that. I'm just trying to figure out where the rule comes from and what methodology are they using? Are they using the same one that you're using?
They just say, they don't say how to determine depreciation, they just say that it effectively needs to be depreciated cost.
So.
But it needs to be an accepted
method. Have we chosen what depreciation schedule we're going to use as part of our our ordinance 158, the floodplain? I mean,
I don't believe so.
So can we use any depreciation schedule we want?
clarify that. No, our floodplain ordinance does specifically delineate that to establish market value, there are two acceptable options. One is the property appraiser's FEMA WLM letter or an actual cash value appraisal. It's clear that those are the two acceptable options.
And that's in our ordinance, or that's a
That's
FEMA
that's
guideline?
That's in our ordinance.
Okay. Good, that's good to know. Which we've been known to change in the past. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Peters?
Yeah, I want to thank Mike. Really, you guys are doing a great job at your office, and I really want to appreciate you, and you're communicating really well, or at least I see your communications a lot. So thanks so much. I know you're doing a good job. And the BDRS, now that they can communicate, outstanding. Thank you. I'm sorry I went on a rant on Thursday, but my frustration kind of peaked, and I think that is going to make a big difference. That somebody can communicate with somebody, I think will make a real big difference. So thank you for doing that. So I have a question, and all your letters are out, and I know I'm in a city that is not up to speed like the county is, but if I get a letter off of Mike's website that says I can spend $224,000 to fix my home, but my cost is under 90, why would I still have to wait for a substantial damage letter? Shouldn't I just be able to get a permit?
So we did actually put that process in place where early on, the policy at the same time that we instituted the below 12 inches and under, we said, regardless of the depth of water inundation, you don't have to wait for a letter. You could file for the reassessments. And so we put that process in place where you did not have to wait for a letter. You'd go through a detailed SDA with the ability to get a permit.
That's for unincorporated.
That's for
It's-
unincorporated.
yeah, it's strictly for
as well
unincorporated.
as our,
That's for your contract communities?
and for our contract.
Commissioners addressing other communities, how would that work?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's, again, this is something, and thank you for clarifying that. We've shared our processes numerous times. What other communities have done, I can't speak to why they have or have not. In many cases, it might be lack of resources, but we've shared our policies as best we can to help them manage their programs.
and I love that you're sending someone in if they did get a substantial letter, a substantial damage letter. I think that's outstanding. And so thank you for that. I want to thank you for all, I know you've had to deal with some residents that have been challenging, and I appreciate your patience. You've been wonderful. But I do have a question about why we put a 10%. I know we took it away, so I'm not harping on it because we took it away. But I'm curious, so let's take the storm out of the equation. And if somebody wanted to substantially improve their home and put an addition on it or whatever it is, we had a 49% threshold that they had to spend to substantially improve their home. And I'm curious, and we didn't find out this until the storm happened, why we put a 10% additional contingency fee on that, which then takes it down to 39%. And I know it's not an issue now, but I'd like to make sure that that doesn't go back into place unless you can give me a really good reason why we would change the threshold from 49 to 39 because of some contingency. Either they're going to follow the 49% or they're not. And I just didn't understand that. And I know it doesn't have anything to do with the storm now because we removed it as soon as it was brought to our attention. But I just don't know why it was put there, and I'm hoping that it's not going to get put back.
The reason it was there was twofold. One, as many of you know, when you undertake a construction project, there are often what's referred to as unforeseen conditions that require an increase in the scope of work that is necessary. You open up a wall, oh geez, there was termite damage, I need now to reframe this wall. That's going to increase the cost of my repair. So this is as much protecting a property owner so that if their initial scope of work is pushed right up against that 49%, it's not giving them any potential tolerance. And if that kind of change of scope of work occurred during that repair that pushed them over the 49% threshold, they would be substantially improved, meaning now the entire structure has to be brought into compliance. The other one, the reason it was in there is because we do have a 1-year look back that is, for blue sky operations, often someone undertakes a repair, and if they pushed up to 49%, they're not leaving any available dollar value for an emergency repair. Someone's air conditioning system could go out, could be a $15,000, $20,000 exercise. So it was there to provide a buffer to effectively protect a resident from those two scenarios that I just spelled out. It's been removed. We're educating. At this point now, our approach is to educate a homeowner or contractor, beware if you push right up to that 49%, that you could be putting yourself in a precarious position. So we're taking that approach right now to, as far as this particular contingency consideration.
So going forward, are we going to consider eliminating the look back?
So that's a separate consideration that would have to be brought
Yeah,
forward.
because if we eliminated the look back, they could come back to you and say, all right, I have significant termite damage. I'm going to kind of redo my permit. I'm going to fix that first, and maybe fix some other repairs, close that permit, and then reopen it so that they could finish whatever they need to do, and then you don't need that contingency.
Yeah, it gets, we're going to get really deep into segmentation and phasing of projects, but if the look-back period wasn't there, it would potentially allow for that type of condition to be addressed. But the whole purpose, again, of the look-back is to minimize a homeowner from circumventing the 49% by phasing a project and do one piece this year, another piece 6 months from now once it's finished, so that they're kind of doing an end around the whole intent of an investment that's greater than the 49 or 50% value.
Commissioner, I do hear you on this,
Yeah.
and I've heard from other commissioners on this, and we could bring this back and have a discussion
Yeah,
at a
I think
future
we
work
need to
session.
definitely bring it back because,
Then you can give us that guidance, and because
Yeah.
it would require an ordinance modification, which is fine, but I've heard that from more than one commissioner, so I
Yeah.
think I hear that you want to have that discussion, and we can certainly bring it back for that discussion.
thank you.
And these are part of the rules on the day of the storm that we're talking about, right?
Well,
Is it-
this is for substantial improvement, which is different than substantial determination, okay?
understand.
And so it's kind of separate from the storm activities. That's the reason we were able to modify, the ordinance on the substantial improvement piece to exempt out storm damage at the last meeting. So we can, first, it's not affecting our response to the storm, so we can have that discussion at any time. But we can bring it back and kind of get into some of those details that Kevin was talking about.
And the sooner the better, obviously, with summers, 6, 7 months away, or 5 or 6 months away.
Yeah, and this is blue sky. This is somebody, comes in and
Right.
starts making repairs, and, and so we can, but we can bring it back.
And we want
we'll-
that. And we
we'll
want
bring
them
this-
to we want them to upgrade windows, do roofs, and all that stuff.
And
That's-
I've had this, several of you bring this to us, and so we'll bring it back for your discussion. It is absolutely a policy decision, and so we'll bring it back for your consideration and your guidance.
I'm going to quickly just, sorry.
I have one quick thing before we get off the substantial damage too much. So I had got a text from a constituent who lives in Reddington Shores, has not got a substantial damage letter yet, which I understand we do not do that, but they're saying that Reddington Shores is saying they haven't gotten their data from Tidal Basin. Do we have any control over that at all?
Yeah, we don't, but we can certainly get with the state. So I can, give me that, I can call the state emergency management deputy director who lives here in St. Pete. And they do work for the state, so we can help them with that.
Okay.
But I do want to comment because we've kind of, said on some of these smaller jurisdictions, the things we were able to set up, the process we were able to put in place, because we have at least a sizable staff, and we've augmented that staff, and we've upsized through private contracts some of our other work that enable us to kind of set up some of these procedures. For some of these smaller jurisdictions, outside of the tidal basin side, this is on the floodplain administrator side. They don't have the same resources. No. And so, we can help them and as much as we can, but there's some issues that they're dealing with that are just going to be different than how we deal with it, just by the number of staff that they have internally. Because I don't want to beat them up. They're getting beat up enough within their own communities, and I know that they're working absolutely nonstop and doing the best they can. But there's some real problems with just the size and scale of their operation that is creating some real bottlenecks, and we'll continue to work with them. If they request any assistance, we'll push that to the state and try to get that to them. But I just want to recognize the things Kevin's able to do is part because of the scale of our operation and our ability to outsource some of our other functions that during this time period.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. So I'm going to quickly shift to the last couple of slides. The only purpose of this slide being up here now was in addition to the communication updates that we talked about, working with the state contractor, is that we've set up a workflow that is not linear, but allows the three subject matter experts to perform their review simultaneous, and that's what's represented with this particular workflow. This is just highlighting some of the resources and data points to date, and I do think it's noteworthy that the dedicated substantial damage support line that we put in place in October, just within 2 months from November to January, has had over 3,000 calls, each call averaging about 30 minutes. We have 2.5 times the calls, which would be expected from Blue Sky operations, 4 times the in-person traffic, which is largely being supported now by our permit support hub. I've mentioned earlier, we've issued over 1,900 permits, over 200 of those on the spot, and we've been able to maintain Blue Sky operations all along with over 6,700 permits. Our building staff has doubled the number of permits issued over this time since post-Milton. The last slide that I wanted to address, which is a very important one, is that the balance of our substantial damage determinations were largely now focused on multifamily buildings, condominiums, and townhouses. And the 49% rule has a distinctive application to these multifamily structures where it is applied, one value for the building is applied to the building inclusive of the units. So there is not an individual value to each respective unit. And again, we were extremely fortunate to have the property appraiser's office take on a major effort that was completed several weeks ago to give just valuations for the building structures for all of the condominiums and townhouses in Pinellas County. In conjunction with that having been completed, we put forth a policy and form to proactively work with condominium associations to push permitting forward. Probably the most significant outcome of the substantial damage assessments that we performed to date is that we were confidently able to conclude that multi-story buildings would not be substantially damaged. So we've green-lighted all condominium buildings that are multi-story to proceed with permitting. Last week, the building team and we facilitated a call to assist them how to work with the new policy where, again, to protect and work with condominium associations so that they don't pierce the 49%. They're actually responsible for allocating the dollar value to each respective unit. The form walks you through those particular processes. We have a call this afternoon with Feather Sound and Sea Towers condominiums to also walk them through these processes. This was a big milestone for us to be able to now greenlight these condominiums moving forward. And in conclusion, I want to just reiterate what I stated a couple times, which is that we're making every effort to be as adaptive and resourceful as we can be every step of the way to work with our residents. Every day is another day too long, but we're going to keep the pedal to the floor to do everything we can to get through this exercise.
Kevin, I want to thank you and Tom for all your hard work, and you guys have always been available. Anytime I've sent an email or anything with any constituent issues, I appreciate you guys getting back to me quickly, and even on the weekends and after hours, so I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. All right. So now we will move on to citizens to be heard. Okay, first we have Scott Daniels, that will be followed by Joanne Turnier, and I apologize if I didn't get that name correct. Ready to go? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Scott Daniels, and I am here this morning representing the Friends of the Pinellas Trail, citizens organization that many of you know about. And Commissioner Scott attended our last meeting, and each of the commissioners are always invited to our quarterly meetings. Our nonprofit all-volunteer organization began in 1988 to support a new concept, which we now call the Pinellas Trail. We worked together with our Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners, and we were able to celebrate our grand opening in December of 1990. Our initial trail went from John Taylor Park in Largo to Seminole City Hall, or to some of our citizens, it went from Seminole City Hall to John Taylor Park in Largo. And now we're announcing our 35th anniversary this December, and we're going to be celebrating the 1st of December through the 6th of December, 2025. Yes, it's hard to believe that we will be celebrating and recognizing how our trail has grown during these 35 years at the end of this new year in 2025. So we're spending the whole year to prepare for this celebration. Today's announcement is to enable our county, our municipal cities and towns to begin to plan how they want to celebrate these 35 years and plan for the future as well. Our Friends of the Pinellas Trail group is looking forward to supporting each anniversary idea. Think about it. With all of our community, county programs, all of the municipalities, it should be a very joyous time. The Pinellas Trail has a Facebook page, and it's friendsofthepinellas.org, to connect with our thousands of Facebook members who are involved with the Pinellas Trail, giving us ideas, giving us observations, which we pass along to our county officials. We're very proud of our public-private partnership, and we're very proud to be the nationally recognized trail among thousands of Rails to Trails organizations across the country. We're also very proud to be Pinellas County's second most favorite location next to our famous Gulf of Mexico beaches. We want to thank all the Board of County Commissioners over these years, Pinellas County administrations, Pinellas County supportive employees, and the municipal government, let me see what I have here, municipal governments that join us, and the many, many volunteers over these past 35 years who joined with us to secure a success for our Pinellas Trail. Our Friends of the Pinellas Trail Board of Directors look forward to supporting all the celebrations during the week of December 1st to 6th. Please start planning for a variety of proclamations, activities, and special events. We expect lots of creativity and certainly lots of fond memories. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Joanne Turnier. I apologize if I didn't get your last name correct. And that will be followed by Daryl Henderson.
My name is Joanne Tunier, like too far, too near. You'll never forget it now. I want to thank you, first of all, for letting me speak this morning. I'm sorry. Although I lost 90% of my personal belongings in Hurricane Helene, the hurricane only damaged my home. It is salvageable. From the estimate that we've received from the building permit office and our own calculations, it's about 16% of the 49%, well, actually of the estimated market value. This isn't in my nature to do this, but I need you to hear this, and I need to speak up. I'm currently homeless. I can't live in my home the way it is right now. I'm living with my daughter until March, who's moving back to England. In November of 2023, my husband passed away from Alzheimer's, and I've been dealing with cancer treatment side effects for quite a while. My daughter and I have been working with the building department since October to try and get my permit to repair my home at 497 Broadus in Crystal Beach. To date, every time we speak with somebody, we get a different answer that conflicts the last one we've heard. We both are feeling a little bit like they just want us to go away like a bad penny. Our initial application was filed on October 29th with Chris on the front line. At that point, we estimated our repairs were $12,500, which is approximately 16% of the FEMA structural value. It included replacements of 14 outlets, drywall from the floor to 4 feet, insulation, and refinishing our floors. We plan to do the repairs ourselves as much as possible to reduce our overall cost. I'll also have to replace all of my appliances, which gets costly, and that's not included in the permit request. On November 22nd, we again visited the office, where we met with Chris again, and we were requested to reapply. Per Jim's statement earlier, I think you referred to the fact that some people had to reapply. He also assured us that the initial inspection was completed on November 7th. On December 24th, after no action, we again visited the office because nothing appeared to have been done. At that time, we found out that the submit button was never pushed on the application on the computer. So it sat there. There didn't appear to be any reports of incomplete applications or anybody taking action on those incomplete applications. It just sat there. At that point, after completing our application a third time, Robert told us that we should have our SDA letter in 3 to 7 business days. January 6th, we again visited the office and spoke with Eric. He had no answers as to why our application hadn't been processed. We asked to speak to his supervisor, and he told us he didn't have one. We went to the front desk and asked to speak with somebody up on the 3rd floor. We spoke with Al and Kayla at that time. Eric also blamed Lisa Foster for all the holdup in this whole process. We asked to see her. She's not available. You can send her an email. He did give us her email address, but that was it. Both Layla and Al assured us that we would be able to have our application processed and they would review it, but they were using a different calculator. I'm sorry.
Joanne,
More.
thank you for coming. Barry, do we have some staff that can help her?
We do. I think staff has discussed, and they have an upcoming meeting with you, but we do have staff in the lobby.
Okay.
I've talked to them already. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Joanne. Daryl Henderson? And after Daryl will be David Balagueros Jr. Good morning.
Good morning. Darrell Henderson here. I am the Advocacy Director for the Recovery Epicenter Foundation in Clearwater. Recovery Epicenter Foundation, our mission is empowering individuals by eliminating personal, societal, and institutional barriers to sustained recovery from substance misuse. We actively practice harm reduction strategies that embrace all pathways to recovery. Through connections with direct peer support services from persons with lived experience, we reduce stigmas associated with surviving an addiction, one person and one family member at a time. Our vision is a community where every person, regardless of their chosen pathway to recovery, experiences dedicated support, understands their inherent worth, and overcomes obstacles to achieve long-term recovery. We operate a peer respite center located at 316 South Betty Lane here in Clearwater. At the Catcher's Mitt, we provide short-term stabilization to people who used to fall through the continuum of care gap. We accept those who do not meet medical threshold for care or who do not have the means to check themselves into a private facility. And I've provided each of you with a brochure along with my contact information. In 2024, the Catcher's Mitt serviced 549 persons. 320 of those participants successfully transitioned to recovery residents. 31 participants received scholarships for the recovery residents. 99 participants were linked to substance use disorder treatment. And we reduced homelessness by approximately 4,195 days. In 2025, we are hoping to have some property leased in St. Petersburg where we will open a recovery community center. And we are also in the process of opening another respite housing center in Pasco County. Commissioners, I thank you for your support and I thank you for your service to our community.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next, David Ballard Geddes Jr., and following him, we have Ron Walker.
Hi, good afternoon. David Ballard Geddes Jr. I live on Georgia Avenue in Palm Harbor. Thomas Jefferson, in his Religious Freedom Act, argues against those who have falsely assumed dominion over others. Moses is quoted as saying, "Let my people go." Yet, oddly, the hypocrisy in the Declaration of Independence sets in motion a long train of usurpation, perfidy, and works of death. It declares the absolute destruction of all ages and conditions, declaring to reduce us under absolute despotism, falsely assuming dominion over us. The Constitution is being used as a form of capture. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11 of our current Constitution states to capture both land and water, and as based on the Reclaimed Water Variance application, such capture now includes the capture of my religion too, which, as further equated in the 14th Amendment, as deduced in the birthing of water jurisdictions, the religion in particular that is being captured is Christianity. Now, having once been captured themselves based on the circumstance that they were once themselves captured, Moses cried to God and to the world to let his people go. The 10 Commandments were written in stone and handed to Moses, establishing such freedom. Now, using such freedom, sadly, I find the free system of laws written in the Declaration of Independence stands for the freedom to eat us out of our subsistence, to commit murder in its constituted process. When George Washington, in his farewell address, states to indirectly undermine that which cannot be directly overthrown, is he speaking of undermining the water supply as a way to overthrow Christianity, using water as a power of the earth, as written in the Declaration of Independence? George Washington further also claiming to be of greatest rankness and truly one's worst enemy. Hypocritically has Thomas Jefferson himself falsely assumed dominion over Christianity, using water as his election of choice, intending to vanquish Christianity based on Federalist Paper number 2, controlling man's subsistence amounts to controlling man's will, as based on Federalist Paper 79. Is this the objective? It appears to me that such constituted liberty, freedom, and happiness as declared
Thank you, David.
violates high seas maritime law. Thank you.
Ron Walker, followed by Charles White.
To start, I'd like to comment about the reporters who spoke the reports this morning. They really seem to know their stuff, talking without notes, answering all you guys' questions, and they seem to be filled with goodwill. But I digress. Happy New Year. The thieves who have been stealing from you for years, this year will steal $1.5 million from you. They will steal it because you refuse to choose the means to expose them. You sit and suffer the loss. When you decide that the thieves should be caught, the money should be collected, let me know, and I'll help you do it. I rather think, though, that as long as you do nothing, you can't be exposed for your nonfeasance. But the chickens are eating in the barnyard, and the chicken coop door is still open, and they might be coming home to rest. Other than that, if you want to collect the money, contact me. We'll collect it very easily. There won't have to be a lawsuit or a conviction. The money will be made available for many of these programs this morning that I heard you guys talking about. It seems to me that you could spend well $5 or $6 million that otherwise you're never going to lay eyes on. It would seem to me you would move. Anyhow, let me know. I'll be here at the end of the month to tell you again. And the Tampa Bay Times is nipping at my heels, and I don't particularly put much in them. Anyhow, if you want to collect the money and expose the thieves, let me know.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Next, we have Charles White, followed by Chris Steiner.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Charles White, and I'm a citizen of the United States of America. And I'm here to speak in opposition to continued fluoridation of our water supply. 80s and 90s years ago, the Soviet Union fluoridated the water in the prison camps in Siberia in order to keep the inmates stupid and docile. Apparently, our 80, 90-year experiment with fluoridation is working. Witness the current fad of Americans thinking men can be women and women can be men. And other forms of insanity that seem to be going on popularly. All of this is documented in the Chris Bryson book, The Fluoridation Deception. So I would like you to no longer poison our water. Fluoride is a toxic waste product, and it began to be used in the United States to fluoridate the water supply as a result of the problem with that the Manhattan Project had with the byproduct of the refinement of uranium for the atomic bomb. And they suddenly came up with the idea, we'll put it in the drinking water, and we will no longer have a toxic waste disposal problem. I'm tired of drinking toxic waste. I want you to stop putting it in the water. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Chris Steiner, followed by Greg Pound.
Morning, Commission.
Morning.
I am Chris Steiner, and I'm here to speak again opposing water fluoridation, demanding you put water fluoridation on the agenda to consider new science and put it up for a vote and remove the water fluoridation equipment too. I'm an organizer for We Are Change Tampa at wearechangetampa.org. I'm administrator of the Facebook group Tampa Bay Water Freedom at facebook.com/group/Tampa Water, where folks can learn more and organize. And I'm a host of Liberation Station radio show, which is soon to be resumed on the Tantalk network of 6 Florida stations, on which I've bought 20 months of airtime to broadcast a 2-hour weekly show at the website theliberationstation.com, where you'll find a wealth of information on various topics, including water fluoridation, by going to the blogs page and selecting the water fluoridation blog, and also by clicking on the links page and selecting the section Safer Water, Anti-Water Fluoridation, Environmental, Natural, Fluoride-Free, and Mercury-Free Dentistry. Can I have a show of hands of those who have had a toxicity test of their blood, hair, nails, urine, or feces to determine your levels of fluoride or other toxins? I'll take it that nobody has, and if you're so concerned with your own, if you're not as concerned as you should be with your own health, I advise you not practice mass medicine on your constituents. Communities are ending water fluoridation at a rapid pace across the country due not to folks following RFK Jr. or Joe Ladapo, Florida Surgeon General, although their statements appear to be based partly on a long-fought court battle won by Food and Water Watch last September that took 7 years and required the National Toxicology Program provide their meta-study or analysis of 72 studies, which was finally released last August, the month before, saying fluoride lowers IQ and must be regulated by the EPA. And the EPA has to revisit their recommended level of fluoride. That's 1.63 IQ points for every 1 part per million fluoride that the National Toxicology Program found. And you can learn more in the article at fluoridealert.org, which is the website for Fluoride Action Network, entitled Federal Court Rules That Water Fluoridation Poses an Unreasonable Risk to Children by Stuart Cooper on September 26, 2024. Lowering the intelligence and other health factors of the populace is a divide and conquer strategy. There are too many folks who unfortunately don't have the mental or physical health to engage in patient conversation and retain information given to them, let alone become civically involved, take action on it. Because the EPA has repeatedly lowered the recommended level of fluoride in the public water, and in 2019, the FDA has done so only for bottled water, which they regulate, how can we trust their indecisiveness?
Thank you.
And I'll email you with all these references and much more. Thank you. Take care.
Next, we have Greg Pound, followed on Zoom by Constance Aguera.
Yes, Greg Pound,
Largo, Florida. I only have 3 minutes, but I can't expound on all the things. So if you want to get a hold of me, I'm with savingfamilies7@gmail.com. What I want to bring up real quick is a Bible verse. It says, "The leaders of this people calls them the air, and they that are led of them are destroyed." This was written back in the book of Isaiah. So since the beginning of time, the problem has always been with leadership when government is established. And so if we don't make some corrections, now, if you just go to what is called, it's number 1 charter amendment in our ballot that we just voted on, and look, you men, God is going to judge the men. He's not holding the women and the children. You read your Bible and you find out on the judgment day and in life, the men are going to be held accountable for what's going on in the world and in this country. And so if the men don't get it together, we're in big trouble. We have a constitution, and in that constitution, we have term limits for a purpose. James Madison put term limits, and also he put in there the separation of powers. It's illegal for Robert Gualtieri, as your sheriff, he goes up in the Senate committee meeting, I'm sitting in the room, he says, "I'm not only an attorney, but I'm also the sheriff of Pinellas County." We have attorneys now in the legislation, we have attorneys in the executive office, we have attorneys just taking over. So we have a major problem. And if you people, you men, it's your job as men to protect our country. Because once we get this corruption going, it gets out of control. We cannot have the same, that's why the separation of power clause was there. Just look at what it says here in Nehemiah. It says here, behold, the leaders in the midst of thee are women, and the gates of thy land shall be set wide open unto thine enemies, and the fire shall devour thy authority, your authority. We're going to lose our authority on this planet Earth as being respected as a nation and as people because we're destroying ourselves because we're rejecting the Word of God. So this is what we've got. We've got a major problem with corruption in our government. When I ran for sheriff in this county, I ran against 3 attorneys. I should be the sheriff. It's called a shoe-in candidate. When you bring 3 illegal people in to run against Greg Pound after running against Jim Coates and getting beat up and thrown in PEM, smashing my head against the wall. I should have went to the hospital for concussion instead of, and this stuff is a scam, just like what you did in this voter ballot. This is out of control corruption, and you men are allowing it. You men of America, all you guys, go look at the ballot and read it. Read and tell me how you get 12 years out of that. These guys all now have 12 years, these county commissioners, and they're not going to say nothing about it because they're in love with power. They're power hungry, out of control. We've had this problem with power since the beginning of time. You look at Moses, when he came out, he took all the leaders and hung them. Because the Bible says no sex outside of marriage, period. The minute they went into that seduction, Moses said take them and hang them, and he hung them. If we don't get back to sexual purity in this nation, we're in trouble.
Okay, and then on Zoom, Constance Aguero.
Constance, would you please state your name for the record?
Constance Aguero.
You have
And I
3
live
minutes to speak, Constance. Thank you.
Thank you. I live in the Gateway Mobile Home Park, and I did hear what you spoke about Gateway earlier. We have this debris pile that is just giant and continues to grow because we have people dropping things off up there still. The last time the county came in with a claw truck was on October 7th, which was immediately before evacuating from Milton. They went door to door with the claw truck, picked up, and they couldn't get it all at that time. Then it sat there for 6 weeks. We moved the debris to the back of the property. They came back in again and said because there were some garbage bags back there, they couldn't pick it up. But that once we had it cleaned up, they'd come back. So residents went back and cleared out, sorted everything so that it is in piles appropriate for picking up, and it still hasn't happened. We're being told that you would come. We were told by management that you were coming back to get it, and he's calling. I know residents are calling all the time, but it's really gotten to be a problem. Stuff back there is molding. We've got rodents and animals, and it is a nuisance and a health hazard. And we need to get to the bottom of getting this debris picked up. It goes for 2 full blocks and is probably 30 feet deep and 10 feet high. and it's just a mess. And so we are pleading with you to please get this resolved so that this debris pile can go away. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 2 is a proposed ordinance amending Section 42-141 of the Pinellas County Code related to county adult uses to align with recent statutory changes. The public hearing was properly advertised, and an affidavit for publication has been received for filing. No correspondence has been received by the clerk. The matter is properly before the board to be heard.
Second.
Sorry. Thank you. Do we have any questions? Discussion? Okay, if the clerk can open up the voting. Okay, passes unanimously. Item number 3.
Agenda item number 3 is a proposed ordinance amending Section 42-430 of the Pinellas County Code related to county human trafficking ordinance to align with recent statutory changes. The public hearing was properly advertised. An affidavit of publication has been received for filing. No correspondence has been received by the clerk. The matter is properly before the board to be heard.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Peters.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Flowers. Any discussion? Okay, if the clerk can open the voting. Okay, passes unanimously. Thank you. Now we move on to the consent agenda. Would anybody like to pull any items from the consent? Commissioner Eggers?
Yeah, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay. Can I have a motion for everything else on the consent agenda?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Eggers, second from Commissioner Flowers. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. Okay, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, this is real quick. I always like to draw attention to the work that our Division of Inspector General is doing in and around the county on behalf of residents, on behalf of commissioners, and anybody else who wants to bring attention to an item, an area, a department within the county. So they continue to look over the expenditure of public funds, and they continue to do a good job on 6, 7, 8, and 9. It was about inspecting purchasing card administration, Oracle Business Intelligence, Petty Cash Fund, Planning Division's Petty Cash Fund, and Emergency Management's Petty Cash Fund. So just trying to bring attention to the work that's being done by our Clerk of the Courts Department, and I move approval on all 4.
Okay, thank you for that, Commissioner Eggers, and I had some notes on that myself as well, so thanks for bringing that up. So we have a motion by Commissioner Eggers, second by Commissioner Latvala. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. Okay, on to County Administrative Departments, number 13.
Item 15 is the third amendment to a purchasing authorization with Graybar Electric. This is various electrical, lighting, and data components. This is the third amendment and exercising a 4-year extension. Total authorization for that is $1.4 million.
Okay, motion from Commissioner Flowers, or I'm sorry, Peters, sorry.
Second.
Second from Commissioner
Peters.
Flowers. That was just to,
That's okay.
keeping everybody on their toes, right? Any discussion? Okay, if the clerk could open the voting. Okay, passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 16.
So Rankin affirms in an agreement with Manhattan Construction Company. They're going to be our construction manager at risk pertaining to the passenger terminal improvements. The reason for the long extension is there's several processes that they have to go through to bid and be able to bring on the firm. So this authorization's for a little over $374,000.
Okay. Motion from Commissioner Peters, second by Commissioner Flowers. Any questions, Commissioner Eggers?
Just looking to see where that came from. I have number
16 more?
I have number 16 is different.
Oh, is it?
Let me just make sure I'm not. Okay, no, good. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay,
I
if
apologize.
there's no discussion, the clerk can open up the voting. Okay, passes unanimously. Let's move on to item number 17.
Just declaring a county-owned parcel as surplus and granting an authorization to sell this odd-shaped piece of land to Caribbean Isles Estates, which is the adjacent owner. Purchase price is $2,250.
Move approval. Motion by Commissioner Eggers. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Flowers. Any discussion? We could open up the voting, please. Okay, motion passes. Okay, moving on to item number 18, and I do have a citizen comment card from Ron Knox Jr. Okay, just here in case we have questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, item 18 is Affordable Housing Program. This is project funding for Azalea Gateway, and this would be a $5.2 million investment, 340 multifamily affordable apartment units in St. Petersburg, 51 units at 80% or below, and 51 units at 120% or below, and then 238 at market. There's a comment under your fifth or sixth bullet here that talks about the eligibility for tax exemption. There was a question on that, so I'll address this for both item 18 and 19. This, as you recall, we exempted out ourselves for the 80 to 120. So this is a project that's being proposed. So this is what it could be, dependent upon the taxing jurisdictions, what would be provided as tax benefit. For projects that are 80% or below, it's automatic under the state guidelines. If a particular jurisdiction, us or St. Petersburg, after completion of the project, then that's how, so it's an estimated amount only if it's available by the individual taxing jurisdiction. Right. That's what those bullets are referring to. So.
And that, just for a point of clarification as well, applies to each taxing jurisdiction. So even like correct. PSTA, JWB, even probably the fire districts, correct?
Yeah, I don't know I'd have to get Tom and them to clarify what jurisdictions are authorized to be able to do the exemption, right. But it's whatever's authorized by state law for that 80 to 120%.
Got it. Okay. Okay, what's the will of the board?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Latvala, a second by Commissioner Flowers. Do we have any discussion? Okay, we can open up the voting. Okay, who are we missing? Commissioner Peters? There we go. All right, passes unanimously. Thank you. Item 19.
So same thing for Skytown Apartments. Then I guess is $5.5 million workforce housing, 401 multifamily apartments in St. Petersburg. This is phase one of a planned development totaling over 2,000 units. So under this, 60 units will be set aside for 80% and 61 at between 80 and 120 of the overall project. Again, the breakdowns, you have other funding sources, breakdowns within your packet.
Okay, what's the will of the board?
Just one question real quick.
Yep. Commissioner Eggers?
On the seventh or eighth bullet point there, it talks about the approval of the project will increase the amount of Penny for funding commitment to $70.55 million. I know we were limited to a point, was it 0.43 or 4.3%?
Yeah, 4.5%.
So what is left?
So what's your new calculation based upon the revisions to the penny? Is it around 90? So we'll have committed under this about 70 million of the 95 million committed under the penny.
So and that's basically through 4 years, 4 or 5 years of the penny.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Move approval.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Eggers. We have a second? Second by Commissioner Latvala. Any further discussion? Okay, if clerk can open up the voting, please. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 20.
This is a renewal of a letter of signature authority for the Byrne Memorial Justice Grant Program, so just authorization.
Motion by Commissioner Peters.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Flowers. Any discussion? Okay, clerk can open up the voting, please. That passes unanimously. Item number 21.
The Eighth Amendment to an agreement with Carousel Industries. This is for our Vesta 911 phone system, 12-month extension, $3.9 million.
Motion by Commissioner Peters,
Second.
second by Commissioner Flowers. Question. Okay, Commissioner Eggers?
And Barry, did you say that this was also going to be rebid?
Yeah,
And
down under your fourth bullet, as they're currently developing a new RFP for these services that they're going to advertise during 2025.
Okay, and that's the reason for the extension.
That's the reason for
Thank you.
the brief extension.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, clerk can open up the voting, please. Passes unanimously. Item number 22.
Item 22 is an amendment number 9 to a master agreement with Environmental Systems Research. So this is for our GIS system. So this would be a contract extension through April of 2030. Contract is $7.5 million for an additional 5 years.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Peters,
Second.
second by Commissioner Flowers. Any discussion? Okay, if the clerk can open up the voting. Okay, passes unanimously. Item number 23.
Fourth Amendment to purchasing authorization with the CDW for IT solutions and services, various things that they use. Again, this is with BTS and for $350,000.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Peters,
Second.
second by Commissioner Flowers. Any discussion? Well, if we can open up the voting, please. Passes unanimously. Item number 24.
24 is a resolution approving multifamily housing revenue bonds for the Housing Finance Authority. This one is for residential, multifamily residential units on flats on fourth apartments. Again, this is conduit financing, and the breakdown, and this is really for 4% low-income tax credits. The breakdown of other funding sources is within your packet.
Will of the board?
Move approval.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Flowers. Second by Commissioner Nowicki. Okay, any discussion? All right, if we could open up the voting. Okay, passes unanimously. Item number 25.
Same thing for Sky Isles Apartments. This is a $36 million project. Again, same thing. This has 133 units, but this is with the St. Petersburg Housing Authority. So you have rent restrictions outlined in your packet. There's no general fund in this project.
Move approval.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Peters. Is that a second by Commissioner Flowers?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, if we can open up the voting. Passes unanimously. Item number 26.
This is a resolution approving the TEFRA hearing for multifamily housing revenue bonds related to the Seminole Square Apartments, $10.7 million. A variety of different funding sources within this particular project. They're listed within your packet.
Okay, will of the board? Okay, motion by Commissioner Peters. Second by Commissioner Latvala. Any discussion? If we could open up the voting. Passes unanimously. On to county attorney reports.
Under item number 27, I'm asking for the board to approve the public official bonds that were issued for the constitutional officers here in Pinellas County, very similar to the action that we took for the new commissioner's bonds back in November.
Okay. Okay, motion by Commissioner Scherer, or I'm sorry, Commissioner Latvala. Okay, second by Commissioner Scherer. Any discussion? Okay, if we could open up the voting. Passes unanimously. Item number 28.
Under 28, I'm asking for the board to ratify litigation that was filed pursuant to Resolution 21-23. That's the resolution that allows for the county attorney to file emergency actions. This related to a petition for animals that were being neglected. The hearing did take place back in November. The county does have custody of the animals now, and the former owner has been enjoined from possessing any animals any further.
Will of the board?
Move approved.
Okay.
Second.
That was a motion by Commissioner Eggers, second by Commissioner Flowers. Any discussion? Okay, if we could open up the voting. Passed unanimously. Item number 29.
Under item 29, this is a confidential settlement. I recommend the board approve staff's recommendation.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Peters, second by Commissioner Latvella. Any discussion? Okay, open up the voting, please. Passed unanimously. Item number 30.
Under item number 30, I have long promised to give a brief update on the charter amendments that were passed back in November. We've had some lengthy meetings, but I am going to go ahead and give you a brief update here today. The two biggest topics I think that would get people's attention were term limits and charter referenda. And there were several amendments related to charter referenda. Let's go ahead and start with term limits. There was just one there. Our charter does now, effective as of the date back in January, and I do have that, I think it was the date of the election. As of that date, county commissioners, just county commissioners, are limited to 12 years. So the way that the amendment was drafted is that you may not appear on the ballot if you have served 12 consecutive years. So not necessarily 3 terms, but certainly, the amount of 3 terms. And you'll notice the way it's worded, your name may not appear on the ballot. So this would prevent you from switching to a different district that may, we do have the overlapping single member and at-large districts. I know some of our neighbors we have seen go from district to district. This amendment that was approved here in Pinellas County will not allow for that. So you would have to sit out, right? You have to sit out for 4 years before you can be eligible to run again. Importantly, I would like to point out this is prospective only from November of 2024. So any of you that have been elected into office prior to that, you start as of 2024. So that's it for term limits, unless anybody has a question.
Questions?
On the petition drives, this is for your charter citizen initiatives. So this is what that is strictly related to. There were a couple of, 3 different amendments that will pertain to this. Probably the easiest one I'll start with is that referenda on citizen initiatives are now going to be limited to the general election years. So that's similar to what we've seen at the state level with your Penny for Pinellas referenda and other referenda. Really just an effort to prevent special elections being held and undertaking that cost. Some of the other changes that were made, there was a question that related to basically some uniform requirements that are now written into your charter to govern how the process works for citizen initiatives. I will tell you, I think that some people thought that maybe we were putting some burdens on the folks that wanted to do this. I can tell you from fielding phone calls from groups that have inquired over the years, I think this is a benefit to them because it puts some very standard guidelines into place and helps answer questions that we frankly weren't just able to answer previously because there wasn't an answer in the charter. So for instance, now groups are going to have to register as a political committee, which is going to bring some transparency and some accountability to the groups. At least that was the feeling. There's a definitive time frame now, and I think that that's important both for the citizen groups to give them some notice as to the time frame that they need to use, but it's also going to be important for your supervisor of elections to make sure that she and her staff have ample time up front to verify the petitions, make sure the language is correct, and get them onto the ballot should they get the number of signatures that are needed. There are going to be monthly deadlines to submit the petitions so that we know the petitions are coming in timely. There will be running tallies of the numbers of petitions that have been approved. It's going to put a time frame on the supervisor of elections to approve petitions within 30 days. The good news for her and her staff is that oftentimes you will see people in petition drives hang on to all of the petitions until a certain date. This is going to keep those petitions coming in on a regular basis so that her staff can keep up with the petitions as they are being turned in. One of the final things that we have now included is that any group gathering signatures for a petition drive like this up front. It's now very clear in our charter that they will have the obligation to translate the ballot language and amendment into any language that is required under law. Currently, we are required to translate our questions and ballots and any election material into Spanish. That is from the Federal Voting Rights Act. The other big change that relate to petition drives is that the number of required signatures has been lowered from 8% of registered voters in the county to 5%. There were already some requirements in your charter that basically require a distribution of those signatures throughout the county between the districts. That remains in the charter, so that really makes sure that there's a distribution throughout the county. So those are what relate to your petitions. Another big change relates to me. The County Attorney Oversight Committee had provisions changed so that the thresholds for hiring or firing the county attorney now, it would require 8 votes in a single meeting or 7 votes in 2 consecutive meetings. This language is more closely aligned with the language that exists in the charter for the county administrator. But I know that another important topic of discussion at the CRC was that by requiring 8 votes, it diminishes the ability of just the county commission to take action in regard to the county attorney without having the constitutional officers there as well. Back in 2016 is when the charter was first amended to create the County Attorney Oversight Committee. And my understanding is that a lot of the rationale for that change was to give the constitutional officers more of a voice. They were not on the committee prior to 2016. 2 other quick amendments. One amendment, I will tell you, it was one that I requested that the CRC take a look at. It is to make the notice requirements for charter amendments consistent with state law. Previously, we had one set of requirements in the charter and one set of requirements in state law, so we were running quite a number of ads just to make sure that we were complying with both of them because they weren't consistent with one another. So now we've just simply said that we will provide notice as is required under state statute for constitutional amendments. And then the other thing that was there was a cleanup amendment. It's pretty common for us to have cleanup amendments go on the ballot. We only take a look at the charter, well, I shouldn't say only, we take a look at the charter every 8 years. And during the passage of time, oftentimes there are maybe agencies that have been dissolved or had a name change, things of that nature. So this was really just a cleanup. So those were your charter amendments. And if nobody has any questions on any of those, the very last thing I would just like to report, this is very, very good news I would like to share. Christy Pemberton, who is the manager of my litigation section, will be recognized this Thursday, in front of the Florida Supreme Court. She is being recognized for the pro bono work she has done. Each year, an attorney from each one of the state's 20 judicial circuits is recognized. And this year, Christy is being recognized for the 6th Judicial Circuit. So we're very proud of her.
Well done.
And I'm going to send out this afternoon a press release that the Florida Bar put out that has a little snippet of each of the people that will be recognized. Christy is among those. For many of you that may not be aware, she has done a lot of work over the years, helping children in guardianship proceedings, foster care. She has 4 children, all of which have been adopted. 2 of which were foster children with her first. So she's really done a great deal of good for our community, and I think it's worth recognizing. And I thank Barbara and her staff for helping us get a headshot of her so that we could share it with the Florida Bar for their press release. But I did want to bring that to our attention. The ceremony might be televised. I'm not sure. We'll find out, but we're going to get you some information because it's definitely good news worth reporting.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Congratulations to her. All right. Okay.
And I'm done now. Thank you.
Any questions or anything for Jewel? All right. So now let's move on to County Commission new business. So why don't we? Oh, I'm sorry.
I was okay moving on. I think I took up enough time in the beginning.
Right.
I will I will just have a reminder that we do have our tri-county meeting where the commissions of Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough come together. That'll be this Friday at 9:30 at Ruth Eckerd Hall. That's all.
Yep. Great reminder. Thank you for that. For some reason, I had already crossed out Barry. I don't know why.
I'm okay.
All right, now we'll go on to County Commission new business. So why don't we start over here with Commissioner Nowicki?
Thank you, Chair. During our workshop, I left all the commissioners a letter about talking about the appointments to boards that I was going to be bringing forward at this meeting. So I'd like to, start off with moving forward with that. I'd like to nominate Richard. I make the motion to nominate Richard Dumont to the Parks and Conservation Resources Advisory Board. He's a Marine veteran. He goes out, picks up trash all in his free time, cleaning up parks, and I believe he has a relationship with some of the county staff in the Parks Department for calling and complaining when there's trash and things and aren't well maintained. So I think he would be a great addition to that board to keep our parks clean and conserve our resources.
Okay. Do you want to do these individually or just do them all as ones? One? Just do them all at once.
I'll do them all at once. Well, okay, well, then I make the motion to nominate Brad McCoy for the Council for People with Disabilities. Not to nominate Bailey Dressman to the Historical Commission, to add William Bill Mitchell Sr. to the Feather Sound Community Services District, to add Andrew Hunsinker to the Board of Adjustment and Appeals, to add Erica Picard to the Palm Harbor Community Service Agency, and Gregory Cahan to the Historic Preservation Board.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Nowicki, a second from Commissioner Peters. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passed unanimously.
Thank you. And then I'd like to give a brief shout out to our clerk of court, Ken Burke. I thought he put on an excellent swearing-in ceremony for all the constitutional officers. Congratulate all of those officers for their new roles. And then for committee reports, I guess I could include that as well here. I serve on the Continuum of Care, which appoints the HLA as their lead agency, and had their first meeting of the year where we met at Allendale United Methodist Church. And, it was an interesting meeting. From my understanding from the board, there's been a lot of leadership changes, 7 leadership changes over the last 4 years. And they had a DEI committee, and they had to change the name to the Systems Disparity and Inequity Task Force after there was talk to meet the state of Florida requirements. And they acknowledge that nonprofits are putting themselves at risk with DEI because it's not in line with the state law and agenda. And so I talked about how we really can't get off topic of the mission of getting people off the streets and solving homelessness here in Pinellas County. And it was kind of echoed by several board members that the narrative and discussion should solely be focused on the efficiency of solving homelessness in Pinellas County and not get sidetracked with any other initiatives outside of that mission. The county does fund them $587,000 for fiscal year '25, and over recent years has funded them $4.75 million. So with that, I brought up the idea of having an audit and a review of their bank statements and investment sheets, and I got a lot of initial pushback because I said, hey, my constituents are going to hold me accountable of where this money is spent. So after much belaboring and back and forth, there was a motion to get the senior finance officer along with the CEO and the chair of the board of directors for HLA at our next meeting to conduct a, kind of a financial review for the COC. And that passed unanimously, so I'm excited to help bring more transparency of where our constituent taxpayer dollars are going to that board. And with that, I also look forward to the 10th annual Kids Tag Art Pinellas Awards ceremony. That's happening January 23rd. The tax collector puts that on, and it's the 10th anniversary. So hope everyone can come out to Largo High School and see some kids tag art. It's going to be an exciting time.
What was that date again, man?
January 23rd at 6 o'clock at Largo High School. 10th annual ceremony.
Great. Okay.
And with that, that's all the business I have, and thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Nowicki. Commissioner Flowers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. January is a very busy month. Thank you to those who have responded, saying that you will attend the MLK breakfast that is sponsored every year by the National Council of Negro Women. I appreciate it. It's very early in the morning, but it's a really good event. And also thank you to those who did indicate that this year you would like to participate in the MLK Parade. It's held in St. Petersburg. The Marching 100 will participate this year. That, along with Talladega State and other historically black colleges and universities, always bring a really big draw, and this is a huge event. So thank you so much for supporting the Dream Big organization for that. So the parade is on the 20th and the breakfast is on the 20th, so you leave one and go right to the next. Also, there will be a Dream Big dinner. This is the third year that the organization has hosted this, and they typically acknowledge or recognize individuals in the community that they feel have demonstrated some of the attributes that Dr. King put forth. And it was very interesting that you heard some of those things from the pastor earlier. I didn't know that he actually had a chance to work with them, so that's really good to know. I attended the Emancipation Proclamation service put on by the NAACP, which was January 1st at McCabe United Methodist Church. It was very well attended. I also attended the Tiger Bay meeting. They installed their new offices, and Attorney Dave Moran is now their new president. Selfishly saying this, Greater Mount Zion AME, my church, is celebrating 100 years of being in the city of St. Petersburg. My grandmother was one of the founding members when she relocated from Moultrie and Albany, Georgia, Colquitt County, down to St. Petersburg. Many families relocated at that time because there was a bustling industry for construction and jobs. So we'll be celebrating our 100th anniversary. You are more than welcome to attend our service, which will be on the 26th of this month at 10 o'clock a.m., where our 11th Episcopal District Bishop will be the speaker for that event. If you want more information, please feel free to have your aide reach out to Darlena, and she can get your aide that information. We want to make sure that you are seated appropriately and recognized. I will be attending the Women Warriors event. This is the second year. I'm helping to co-sponsor that with Darrell Sykes. It is specifically acknowledging women who serve in the military. And I have really been enlightened by the number of women who serve in major positions, whether it's captain or sergeant, lieutenant, in all various forms of the United States military. So we were scheduled to have this. The storm came, so we had to cancel it. It was at Eckerd College. Eckerd College received a lot of damage, and so we had to put it off. And so we will be hosting that. Again, if you desire to attend, please see Darlena, have your aide see Darlena. The Bay Area Apartments Association will be hosting at the St. Petersburg Coliseum a big event with landlords who have available apartment units. I found out about this because, of course, people are calling us because they know that their housing that's paid by FEMA is going to run out soon. They're trying to find somewhere to go. I've been trying to help people find locations, work with landlords, asking them if they could work out something on the first, last, and security, because a lot of people don't have all of that, especially when your rent is going to be $1,700, et cetera. And so they will be putting this event on. The landlords there have available units. They understand the situation. They're willing to work with people. So again, I have the information that if you desire and you want to share that with individuals as well, please reach out to Darlene and she can get you that. But it's the Bay Area Apartments Association. I think his name is Eric, who's appeared before us before, that just presents on behalf of them. So I thought that was very nice of them to kind of pull that together. The Florida Association of Counties will have its Tech Summit January 30th. It's in Marion County at the World Equestrian Center. So if you desire to attend, please go to the Florida Association of Counties website and register for that. Also, I attended the NACO, my NACO meetings, which is Justice and Public Safety, as well as the CEWD monthly meetings. Those policy meetings lead up to the NACO Legislative Conference in Washington, D.C. that's coming up March 3rd through the 6th. So I'm not sure if anyone else is planning on going. I'm taking a strong look at my calendar, and plus, the weather's not nice right about now as it relates to going. I don't want to go and get stuck in DC. But please feel free to look on the NACO website if you have an interest in going. I'll also be meeting with Julie Bajowski, former mayor of Dunedin. She has her new role working with the Dunedin Chamber of Commerce. And so I'm going to be meeting with her and just kind of going around Dunedin, seeing what's going on. And also Dunedin, of course, has a new mayor. We all know her as Mo Epley, but Mayor Maureen, I got to now give her props. Mayor Maureen Epley. Excuse me. And I attended my first Pinellas full board meeting. This room was quite full. But it was some really good information that was shared, particularly when looking at transit operations, addressing where we are with pushing forward with a regional MPO, funding requests being made to the state for different programs and projects. So it was a very enlightening and interesting, I thought, an informative meeting. But yeah, it was a whole lot of us in this room since they've expanded their board. But it was timely. And the information was very good, so I'm thankful to the staff for that. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Flowers. Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, first of all, I wanted to thank Pastor Bell for being here today. I know he's not here now, but he's just an amazing man. I thought I knew all of the stuff, but he told me some more this morning that I was not aware of. And his leadership back in the mid-2000s when we, in the city of Dunedin, were talking about the Martin Luther King celebration, renaming a street after Martin Luther King. He was the leader. He was the person who did it. And he did it in the style that Martin Luther King brought when he was alive and doing his bidding on behalf of all Americans. And so I just really wanted to tip my hat off to him. And when you wonder about our trail itself, the physical trail being worn out and needing repaving, it's probably due to him because he walks it every single day. I can't believe it. Every day you go out there, he's on that trail. Like I said, did you get it in this morning? He said, no, that's later. He usually goes out early in the morning. He walks probably about an hour and a half, and he looks fantastic, and he's done great work. And really proud of him, and his church does just incredible work as well in the community. So, let's see, MPO meeting I think was excellent. Commissioner Flowers, thank you for that. We have 19 members now, so you can see the number we have around this table. Well, it went back and it was spread out a little bit, and we captured 19 folks. Of that 19, only 6 are returning, so we have 13 new board members, which, so we'll be doing a lot of kind of information to kind of try to bring folks up to speed. And so it was really a good meeting. We talked a little bit about Drew Street, some of the updates there. There's like 4 or 5 sections of Drew Street, everybody's kind of in agreement on 4. There's that one little area that goes by the golf club there that is probably the one contentious area, but we're making improvements and it's getting better. So that's the takeaway so far. We talked a little bit about the camera enforcement for the school zones, and I think theoretically everybody kind of understands the reason for it, but practically there's still some issues that we're talking about and working through. School board at this point doesn't seem to be in favor, and they mentioned that the sheriff has had some issues with it as well. So anyway, but we're talking about it, we're understanding it, and we'll look at that further. Had some leadership appointments for the group, and there's quite a bit of, it was a good meeting. It was a good meeting, and I just wanted to bring everybody's attention to that. If you have any questions about that, you can holler to Stacy in my office, and we can get you a summary when that comes out. It might be a good thing. We do summarize the activities of that board. It's usually about a week or 2 after the fact, and maybe if we haven't been distributing it to the commissioners, we'll make sure that you all get copies of that. And let's see. Tampa Bay Water has not met. We'll be meeting next week. And looking forward to the county regional meeting. really want to thank Barry. Barry came on board years ago, but he immediately went to work on with the other county administrators to make this happen, because it really wasn't of interest before that. And it was him and those county administrators that kind of laid the groundwork. We went through COVID, and they really became almost first name basis, friends almost, if you will, talking to each other on how things were being dealt with. But we've had, I don't know, 3 or 4 meetings right now, and try to have a couple of a year, but sometimes it just works out to 1 a year. But I think from a legislation perspective, and also issues facing us in the region, like Tampa Bay Water and Forward Pinellas and those kinds of things, it's a great opportunity to get together and to gain a little momentum from an area, from a regional perspective. So really, really happy with that, and really proud of that effort. And the only other thing I really wanted to bring up is that March 1st is our annual law enforcement first responder appreciation dinner. One of our colleagues, John Maroney, who was here, gosh, 8 years ago, he passed away with his battles, health battles, but he was the leader in putting this together. And essentially, it brings all the first responders together, brings their first responders of the year, and we alternate each of the first responders every year to see who's going to get the money for the efforts that their particular 501c3 in their area has done to make lives better for our first responders. And so we alternate that around. And so it's a great opportunity to recognize and to raise funds for efforts for those folks who put their lives in harm's way every day. We make an appeal to the Law Enforcement Trust Fund and to Sheriff Bob. And I just really like to get our consensus agreement with me sending this letter for the request of those funds. It's $1,500 for one table. It'll be open and available for folks sitting around this room and a guest. So if I could just get a motion for approval of that in a second. I got a motion in a second.
Okay. All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? Okay. Passes
And,
unanimously.
I think that's all I have, except Happy New Year to everybody. And I did take the opportunity to thank a couple, Tom Almonte and all the work that him and Kevin have been doing. It just, I can't imagine over the top the details that these folks have had to get in, not only moving the concepts forward, but the details that they have to get into. And it's never good enough, I get that, for folks. And I really, Commissioner Peters, appreciated your comments the other day during the workshop, because it reflects what a lot of people feel and the frustrations that they've gone through. And again, that's not a fault on the efforts, it's just people are struggling right now. So I really wanted to tip my hat off to them. Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Commissioner Scheer.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to talk about some new business, maybe. As you know, I have, every chance I get, I talk to you about the floodplain rules that we have. You know, I gave you all a little letter to read, my thoughts on the subject, specifically with Ordinance 158. You know, the intent of the Ordinance 158 is to establish minimum requirements to safeguard the public, the safety, the general welfare, and to minimize public and private losses due to flooding through regulation of the development hazard areas. I believe, and I say this every chance I get, I believe that strict adherence to Section 158, or Ordinance 158, the FEMA, and then our VA report that we made part of our floodplain ordinance, I believe that's contrary to the intent of this ordinance. And because of that, I gave you a small list of simple exemptions and changes that we could make to the ordinance, which I think could save homes, save hundreds of homes. And I believe that we could get FEMA to bite on it. And my goal would be to put a complete list together, but at least start with my list. And I would like for the commission as a whole to allow me to work with our county's attorney's office to put these ideas into draft county ordinances that I could take to FEMA and present to them and argue that case. Some of these are pretty simple. If a property owner has never had a flood policy on their house that is subsidized by the National Flood Insurance Program, they've never had it, they're not going to get a check from FEMA, so they're not going to get a check for their damages, but then they have to tear their house down because the FEMA rules. Doesn't seem fair. Very small number of people probably be affected, but I think I could get them to bite on that. If a homeowner would sign a recorded document, when we allow this in the ordinance 158, if the owner would provide a recorded declaration of land restrictions preventing the property and the future owners from qualifying for any flood insurance subsidized by the National Flood Insurance Program, they could be exempt because they'll never make a claim to FEMA or on their flood insurance because they won't have any. Now also, we have 2 minimum flood elevations in Pinellas County. We have the FEMA flood elevations, which are still good, and we have the one that was approved by the vulnerability assessment of 2021. Those are 2 different ones. So in some instances, if you own a home and your finished floor elevation is 9.5 feet, and you were operating your whole life under the FEMA minimum flood elevation of 9, you would not be receiving these letters for substantial determinations. You would not be receiving them because you are already up to code. But if all of a sudden two years later, the county approved maps raise that minimum flood to 10, you're underwater. And because you're underwater, now you're receiving these letters that you have to comply with a substantial determination. And I've been told that that's not that many houses, but I don't know if that's true or not. But I think it is a reasonable exemption, or not an exemption. We could change the ordinance to allow the homeowner to decide which minimum flood elevation applies to their house and which one they want to apply to their house. So these are ideas that I have that I'd like to work with our county attorney, prepare draft ordinance changes and take them to FEMA and ask them to approve them ahead of time. We just did it with the storm damage that we mentioned earlier. With the storm damage, we got FEMA to bite on that ahead of time before we did it, and we didn't. I believe Tom worked that out with them. So changes are possible. I met with FEMA. I had 5 of their agents in my office to talk about this. They didn't say absolutely no changes whatsoever. They said, let's see what you got. So, but for me to be taken seriously, I need to have at least draft ordinances in my hand. And also, if any commissioner, like Commissioner Peters said, I'd like to see this change, just that you mentioned a little while ago, maybe we can make that part of the package. And we can take them in on individual ordinance changes, not all blanket one, so they could pick and choose if they could accept one or the other. But I think it could save some houses. And you know, the intent of 158 is to minimize private losses. And so I think we should give it a shot. If we're gonna follow the code, we need to try and minimize losses. And I'd like to be the committee of one to work on that if you want me to. But I believe the county attorney would need everybody here to say, yeah, why don't you work with Chris on getting some of these changes on paper. And
Commissioner Eggers and then Commissioner Lovell.
Yeah, I don't have an issue if you want to, look into it. I certainly want to bring it back here.
Oh, absolutely.
For conversation and discussion, debate, whatever, because I think there are some counter arguments. And again, and it's more from the perspective of what is theoretically correct versus what our residents are practically feeling. And I think that's the discussion that we need to have, because clearly the outdated FEMA information helps us on the Gulf side and hurts us on the Bay side. And so that if we can figure out what that means really and how that compares to the number of folks that are being dramatically affected, I think that's a great conversation to have. So I don't have a problem if you want to make that extra duty effort to help work with staff, work with the attorney, but bringing it back here for good debate and discussion, I think would be great. I did get a few calls from some contractors, builders, that felt that us adopting our own standards on the Gulf side versus the FEMA's lower, ours were a little higher, could dramatically affect some of the rebuilds, some of the people that might be in harm's way. So I think it's nice. It was enlightening to hear, and I think the discussion is probably a healthy one to have. So I'm supportive of that effort, but clearly bring it back here for discussion and approval.
Well, the intent would be to get the FEMA to buy off on the proposed changes and bring it back to you as an ordinance that we could vote on.
So, and I think it's a great idea, but because it's federal, I think what we'd have to do is agree on it and then put it on our legislative priority list, right? And then work with our congresspeople to change that. I think the stuff that, a lot of this stuff is federal policy, and we have no control over federal policy except for to advocate. And so, so if you want to work on it, and we came up with recommendations that we'd want to take to our federal delegation and ask them to work with us, then that would, I think, that would be the process for that. Now, something that is an immediate local ordinance that we have the authority to do, if that's what you're looking at, that's great, but I think a lot of this is federal, and we just don't, it's not our jurisdiction. But we certainly can advocate, and that's what makes NACO so great, because then you can get the whole state advocating with you if this is what we agree on. So, yeah, I don't disagree with it. I just, as long as Jules' staff has the time to assist you with that, I think, and you work with staff to see what, and I expect a lot of changes in FEMA, and especially if Kevin Guthrie gets appointed as head of FEMA, I suspect there'll be a lot of changes at FEMA. So I think the timing could be good, given that there's going to be changes coming, I think, at the federal level soon. So, no, I'm not opposed to it, but I know the stuff I want to talk about is strictly Rubber Hits Road, where it's our purview, where we're in our lane. But I think, given what we've gone through, giving feedback, and Kevin Guthrie has a whole lot of the feedback. He knows a lot of what we're going through. But these are things, maybe some things he hasn't considered. So I don't think, it's not for thought, I just don't know, like I said, if Jules' staff has enough time, depending on how deep you want to probe into this, I'd support it, but I do expect changes coming.
Well, I wouldn't want to violate any federal rules.
Right.
But that would why I would want to work with our county staff, especially the attorney, to make sure we're not violating the rules, but we're making changes which the local FEMA field people can approve, much the same as it's my understanding that they approved the change on the look back that we were talking about as storm related. That was approved by FEMA before we approved the ordinance. And
Yeah,
So-
no, I think we're going to have a good workshop coming up and look at all of this. So, yeah, do all the work, prep.
Okay, I'd like to have time with the county attorney, and I know that Jewel likes to make sure that everybody's on board with the idea before, I can't just ask for work
Yeah.
on
no,
my own.
I don't mind you digging into it. And again, I think if there's recommendations, then we send it to our congressional delegation to work on.
Commissioner Lavelle?
Commissioner Peter stole my thunder. I was going to say that, my advice would be to wait to see who the FEMA administrator is going to be, because there's a decent chance, if media reports are accurate, that he or she will be from Florida, and they will understand the unique position that not just we're in, but other Florida counties are in, and will understand, hurricanes and those impacts. And also, we will, be having a good working relationship with that person, if it is Mr. Guthrie.
Great idea, Commissioner Scheer, and echo, my colleagues, Vice Chair Eggers and Commissioner Peters, for you working on this. So I think I'll make it pretty simple that, I make the motion to have Commissioner Scheer be able to work with legal on the proposed draft ordinances and discuss at our next work session on January 23rd.
I don't know if we necessarily need a motion for those.
Oh, okay, well, then consensus from me.
I liked it.
And I wouldn't put a date on it just because it takes time. So it may not be ready for the 23rd, but if it is, I think we're already scheduled for the 23rd, aren't we, for workshops items?
Well, we actually don't have any other agenda items for the 23rd. I was going to talk about that with Commissioner Scott, but I guess now we do. So,
well, we can
if we're ready.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the things I was going to talk to Commissioner Scott about, about whether you needed the meeting or not. But the reality is, there's always things coming up, so it's scheduled.
Well, I would appreciate I appreciate I don't know if it's a motion or a request to ask the county
Consensus
attorney.
direction.
Yeah, it's just a direction to work with county attorney to get some of the stuff going on. And I appreciate it. Actually, Don has already helped me out a lot, sending me, email explaining the process and how it works and how 158 relates to the building code and how the building code relates to the FEMA requirements. And we don't actually have any contracts with FEMA. It's just their policy, and it's a program that so there's a lot to review, and I'm reading it every night, but I really believe that we can come up with some changes to our ordinance in short order that can save some houses. And so I want to work on it as much as I can. But I can't do it by myself. I need help.
Right. I certainly don't have any problems at all with speaking with the county attorney's office and working on this and see what you can come up with. I think it's got to come back here though for some serious debate and thought, because there's a lot of moving pieces in this, and I don't want us to make an emotional short-term decision because now there's a point of pain. I mean, the rules have been in place for a long, long, long time. Now, granted, they were probably, and this is my opinion, probably the thought process at the time that it was going to be individual redevelopments, not a mass casualty situation where suddenly you've got, multiple points of pain. But the whole point of these ordinances is to make us more resilient in the future, because this is going to happen again. So if we say, make a change and make it retroactive and say, okay, well, we just save these 50 homes or whatever, did we really save them? I mean, I think that's, kind of long-term is the whole point of this is to make us more resilient for the next storm, because there's going to be a next storm. So that's the reality. So, feel free. I mean, I think you've got consensus with this group to, go ahead and work and bring your work product back, and we can talk about it.
And let me just say one thing on that. It's a great point that you brought up. And the reason, and again, whether you agree or disagree, that staff moved in this direction was based on more current information provided by the University of Florida versus the older information that the FEMA's rulings were. So I think in time, when FEMA readdresses and updates, they're probably going to move it again anyway, probably closer to what we have in place. But it might buy us a few years, because to your point, they're essentially trying to make us more resilient. And maybe the counties was a little too quick to do it, but I would presume FEMA will be approaching the counties the next time they review it. That's kind of the way it works. But anyway, that was just a comment following up on yours.
Okay. Any more new business? You good? Okay. Commissioner LaBella.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I enjoyed the swearing in of the constitutional officers that's a couple of y'all were at. Last week for YAC, we toured the Supervisor of Elections office. That was very informative. Last week, also, I attended the Drug-Free America Gala, and congratulations to Senator Rouson for receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award from Drug-Free America. That was well-deserved honor. And speaking of board assignments and committee assignments, one of the boards I'm on is JWB. And last week, JWB was in the news for a very unfortunate event. And I'm not going to get into the details of it other than it was involving a spouse of a member of the leadership team. But once I heard about it, and I didn't know about it except through the media, which I was not happy about being informed that way. But I talked to Jewel about it, and I appreciate her advice. But the other person that I sought advice from was our county administrator, because I wanted to know what he would do in a similar instance if it involved a family member of one of his employees. And I thought his, what he would do was very sound. And it gave me comfort knowing that we had a county administrator that had thought of that a similar situation, of a high-profile arrest of a employee, a member of his leadership team, and the steps that he would take. Those were not the steps that our CEO took. We have a meeting on Thursday that at JWB, excuse me, at JWB that I imagine it will come up. And up to this point, I've been satisfied with the performance of our CEO. I thought she's done a pretty good job. This certainly was uncharted territory for her. And I imagine she was shell-shocked, once she heard about it. And in hindsight, she probably, would have done things differently. And those will be things that we, we'll talk about on Thursday. But as the, county commissioner on JWB, I want y'all to know of the, advice that I've taken and also in my, conversations with our CEO, I've expressed, my concerns with her and whatnot, so.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Chris. Commissioner Peters?
Good luck with that. It's really important, so good luck with that.
If you'd like.
That was always my number one pick, and I never got it, except this year I didn't ask for it. But anyways.
Wish I would have known that, I would have given it to you.
Yeah. I did attend a Rotary to speak just on county updates. I spoke to the Treasure Island Rotary, and Commissioner Scott and I spoke to the Republican Club Committee last night to kind of give them an update on where the county is. It was interesting doing a dual one. I thought it was kind of fun.
Dog and pony show was good, yeah?
Yeah,
It was good.
yeah. We also had our OFAB meeting to come up with direction on how we're going to spend that money. There will be another meeting coming. We've kind of given the OFAB meeting good, solid direction, I think, at this point, on where our priorities fall after looking at the gap analysis. The gap analysis, in my opinion, kind of missed a couple things. And so I had spent several weeks talking to providers to find that our infant programs lost a lot of their funding. And I think if we're going to really broach opiate long-term, we have to get those babies that have been born addicted and make sure that we have solid wraparound services for them and the mother. And I think there'd be a long-term return on investment if we work with postpartum women and the infant mortality group to make sure that the return on investment would be to keep these children out of foster care. Because right now, one of the number one reasons kids go into foster care is for their parents' substance use. So anyways, that didn't kind of bubble up in the gap analysis. So we're going to include that to be a priority and working with foster care, because I do believe there's a good return on investment. But the highest priority, I think, is going to be the housing, because years ago, the state eliminated funding for that transitional housing, so people can go into treatment to get off their addiction, but when they get out of there, it's nothing. And if they end up in the exact same environment, they end up in the exact same situation. So the state, when they had some budget issues, had eliminated that transitional housing. So I think you'll see some focus on that transitional housing before they get into permanent housing may be a priority. So we'll be putting an RFI out for a request for information, and the board will meet again to make sure that that request is really targeted on what the priorities we chose, and then we'll send that out and hopefully get some good quality proposals back that will truly make transformative change over the next 16 years. So that was that. Also met with Senator Rouson, because in that gap analysis, we found that there were some issues with peers. So we met with him to see if there was anything he could do this legislative session that might meet with that. We had a really great conversation. We talked about the use of long-term injectables. They now have long-term injectables for medically assisted treatment for addiction. I recently just learned about that. And again, I think there's a good return on investment if it's used properly. So we had a really good conversation with that. And then I wanted to wish a happy anniversary to Commissioner Latvala.
Wow.
I appreciate you one-upping me. Due to the nature of my report, I skipped that, but I would like to wish my lovely wife a happy 1 year and 1 day anniversary.
Good catch. Nothing. Yeah. Nothing like calling them out.
Hopefully she's not watching.
Yeah, right. Are you done, Commissioner Peters? Yes. Okay, great. Okay, all right, so a couple of things. First of all, we got two business items, then I'll give my report. A couple of cleanup appointments for this year is I would like a motion to reappoint Commissioner Eggers as the chair of the Value Adjustment Board, Commissioner Flowers to the School Transportation Safety Committee, and reappointing Commissioner Latvala to the board of the Hillsborough-Pinellas Workforce Development Consortium. Thank you. Motion from Commissioner Flowers, second from Commissioner Eggers. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. And also, we have the Skyway Lighting Resolution, which we have to approve. We have to approve annually. So there we go. I know that you've all spent time and dug into that thoroughly and looked at all of the 50, right? So, okay, thank you. Second. All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, any opposed? Great, thank you. Motion carries. Yeah, I had a busy a few weeks here since our last meeting. I attended St. Pete City Council swearing-in ceremonies. Also presented on budget, beaches, raise, all things county to the Gulf Beaches Republican Club. As Commissioner Peters mentioned, her and I did the tap dance last night down in Feather Sound, and I thought went really well. Presented a Hurricane Hero Challenge Coin Award to Feeding Tampa Bay yesterday. They provided over 4.4 million meals during the hurricanes at 132 emergency distribution points in Citrus, Hillsborough, Hernando, Pasco, and Pinellas County. And their ability to scale for these emergencies is really quite amazing, and they just did a fabulous job. So I wanted to give them a shout out for that. Tomorrow we'll be chairing our first TDC meeting. Looking forward to that. Then later in the afternoon, Historic Preservation. Thursday, I'll be speaking at the Pinellas Park Kiwanis Luncheon. This morning, Commissioner Eggers and I, we had our first canine commissioner, photo shoot. So communications came over, and we had Deuce, this cute little puppy, Commissioner Eggers' office, and we had him up on the windowsill looking out, and just had some great pictures with him. And we're hoping that Deuce is going to get adopted here very, very quickly. So, next meeting, we'll have a dog here. And so if we smell like puppy, that's why. Okay, it's not a new cologne. It's just a great way to start the day right before a meeting, just playing with puppies. So that was just awesome to do that. I want to thank Commissioner Eggers also for handling work session last week. I need you to do it again next week because I will be joining Brian Loack and the TDC team on a sales mission to Brazil. So we're leaving. Yeah, well, we're leaving Tuesday night, coming back Friday morning. So it is a hit and run. It is a hit and run, but I'm looking forward to that. So that's going to be awesome. So I'll give a full report on that when I get back. Also, got a call this morning from Congressman Luna, who just wanted to touch base on the beach renourishment, and she just wanted to reaffirm that the funding for that has been approved, and that she assured me that in a new administration that all of this is going to be resolved. So I want to thank her for reaching out and letting me know that. So happy to share that information with you, and I just want to thank her for all of her persistence and all of her hard work on this particular issue. So with that, that's all that I have, and unless there's any other business. No? All right, well then we are adjourned. Thank you very much. We'll see you all Friday.